Hello, everybody, and welcome into my latest live broadcast. My name is Carey Holzman. Who the hell are you?
This is Mitch Morrison.
Mitch, the man Morrison. Oh my God, I have to get a selfie. Are you really Mitch Morrison?
Yeah.
Right.
The actor. So, how's everybody doing on this Freaky Friday?
It is a Friday. It's the 23rd of April, 2021. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We got a little bit of a late start, but you know, I've got a whole new camera set up, brand new microphones. How's our audio sound?
Are we coming in 5x5 voice-wise?
Does anybody notice any difference in the audio for better or for worse? Please let us know and make sure let us know how the audio is and the video are coming through. Before we get to work, we want to make sure you can see and hear us
for this new build we got going today.
There's Sherry McFarland in the chat room. Sherry's provided a number of thumbnails we've used in the past. Thank you so much.
And I think before we went on, there's a couple of contributions that you might want to give shouts out to. So
Mitch is on the ball, keeping me honest.
That's those 7 Cokes I had before we
well, that's a good question. YouTube, once again, is not showing me the contribution. Wait, I see a few in the chat. Tony Wallow with $1.99. Rockin' Rob contributes $5. He says, "Hey, Carey, Mitch, and chat from Little Genesee, New York. Can't wait to see what Friday brings us today." Oh, yeah. Rick Rubisit with €5 says, "Good evening from the Netherlands. Let's enjoy another live stream from the dynamic duo." Rick Lakes contributes $5. He says, "Hello, Carey. Hey, Rick," and Jesse Kark with $5. Thank you, Jesse. He says, "The best dynamic duo." Do I have a bat cave?
No, but that's interesting. That's kind of on my Amazon wish list. Is that old Batman TV show is available on Blu-ray, and it's
so bad.
It's so corny, and it takes me back to my youth so I'm like, I'll put that and then Lost in Space.
Oh, that was another bad
is on Blu-ray. I'm like, those two.
Did that guy ever do anything other than Dr. Smith?
Yeah, he was an actor. Yeah. He did a voice in A Bug's Life.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh, I had no idea.
So, Jonathan Harris. Yeah.
That's his name? Well, I probably saw the name, didn't recognize the name.
Yep.
Two of my favorite actors are just really weird guys. Adam West, who played Batman in the 60s, and John Astin from the Addams Family. And interestingly, I thought, wouldn't it be interesting if they put those two guys in the same movie? And they were in the same movie. And they're just really oddball characters.
Yeah. John
Astin's son is Sean Astin from Lord of the Rings.
Rings, of course. Yeah.
And
mother is Patty Duke.
Wow, look at you.
On fire.
This is all unrehearsed and unscripted. We didn't even know we were talking about it. In fact, I want to look up what the name of that movie is with Adam West and John Astin. Oh, he was a Batman. John Astin played the Riddler.
After Frank Gorshin, got mad and left. Yeah, they got...
that's beautiful casting. That is beautiful casting to put those two guys in that show because they're both kind of goofy, silly guys.
Right.
And, of course...
but Frank Gorshin,
And Adam West, they would always have him read these bizarre lines on Family Guy.
Right.
And after he passed...
Who was he? Mayor who? I forget the...
Mayor West.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
He was Adam West. He played himself. And then they used to have James Woods High School, and then after Adam West died in real life, they changed the name of the high school to Adam West High School. It was a nice little tribute. Yeah. Of course, Carrie Fisher was on Family Guy. She was Peter's boss at the brewery. So it had a number of stars on that show. But Adam West would always have these strange lines that didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And that wouldn't have been funny if anybody else did it.
Right.
He's the only one that could pull
I just remember as a kid, racing home after elementary school because I think the Batman show was on, if not 3 times a week, like Monday, Wednesdays, or Fridays or something like that. And so, you just had to get home. And so I'm
the car was so cool.
Yeah.
With the flames coming out the back, just knocks over the little barrier as it drives out of the cave.
So when I saw that's available on Blu-ray, I'm like, ooh, I know it's corny and cheesy, but
it's nostalgia.
Yeah, it takes me back.
XRod666 with a $10 contribution. He says, "I'm doing great. It's finally Friday."
Yeah.
Thomas Backenstow. Hey, Tom. Good to see you, my friend.
He's the owner of Little Red, right? The Little Red.
That's the second computer he ordered from me. The little red and black computer.
How's that we built together? How's that going for you?
How's that working for you, Thomas? He says he contributes $20. He says another great show on the way. That's some positive thinking.
Yep.
Thank you, guys. Let's see. Did anybody comment on the audio or video? They say it's a little lower volume, but it's all good.
Okay.
Sherry McFarland types in da 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 da.
Yeah. And they even had merchandising back then. I remember begging my mom for a Batman shirt of that logo.
I think I had the lunchbox.
Yeah. So I'm like, yeah.
Remember lunchboxes?
Yeah. Do you know what an original Batman lunchbox would be worth?
And there I was saving Star Wars figures like an idiot.
Yeah. So.
David Herzog says, hello, Carey, Mitch, in chat. Ron Hillier joins us. He says, woot. Catherine Anna Hauserman in the house. She's going to join Doug Betts on camera. Doug Betts live Windows training. Let's say the other way around. Live Windows training, Doug Betts. Doug's the one that submitted that nice video to me. What a super guy.
Yep.
And he's going to bring on Catherine Anna Hauserman, and they're going to have a chat. And you guys might want to tune into that when that happens.
Sweet.
I don't know if it's scheduled or not yet. You'll have to tune in to Doug's channel. Be sure and subscribe over there. And you can say, I remember when I subscribed to Doug's channel when he had less than 500 subscribers.
Yep.
Do it now so you can say that soon. Rick Lake says it sounds good to him. William Dawson says loud and clear, sounds good.
Well, good.
Paul Wright says sounds good. David Herzog said audio and video is fine. Catherine says it could be a bit louder. We've been getting a little bit of that. It starts to distort when I raise it louder, so I'm not quite sure. I'll have to research. This was the peak level of gain that I could add without it getting fuzzy.
Right.
But there's probably some setting. You have to understand the microphones have they have an attenuation. And if the attenuation is set too low, then every time I click the mouse, you're going to hear it. It's going to drive you guys nuts. So I crank the attenuation up. If I crank it up too much, then my voice isn't full anymore. So I was trying to find that sweet spot. Because these are new microphones, it's a different pickup than the other mics. And then there's a gain on the camera, and then there's a gain on OBS. And each one has its own deal. And the reason I ask is I have this Zoom F6 professional sound recorder.
Ooh.
And this has something called 32-bit float. And what 32-bit float is supposed to be able to do is you no longer set any gains.
Okay.
It also has an automatic audio mix. When you stop talking, it lowers the volume of your microphone.
Okay.
And it just automatically happens. Now, will that be annoying or will it be an improvement? I don't know. But I need a baseline to compare these microphones with this setup. And in the future, this will be in use, and you'll see it. I'll probably put it up here so you'll see the lines dancing up and down when we talk. And we'll see...
Just more things to distract the viewers away from us.
Well, more importantly, I think it's kind of cool to see, right? Because it'll be off to the side. But more importantly, is it going to make the audio better or worse is the question. So we need to... This is our baseline of what we're going to compare that to. Moving forward. I don't know when yet, but we'll get there. I mean, I know the audio is decent,
right?
But I want to make it perfect.
Yeah. Ron says, I love the shirt, Mitch. Yep. Next to my band, Toto, probably my second favorite is the Alan Parsons Project or Alan Parsons. And if you're good, a little bit later, I'll pull up my phone and I'll go up to the camera and I'll show you a picture of me and Alan Parsons. It was kind of very exciting to meet him. And this is his album, Turn of a Friendly Card. So of his 12 or 13 albums that he did as the Alan Parsons Project, I consider this one the finest, and it has probably his most well-known hit song, Games People Play, on it, which is a great synthesizer track on there. So.
Mike Yazzie with the $20 contributions. Thank you, Mike. Rock and Rob said the audio is not as beefy. What does beefy mean?
To me, that means full. I mean, is it either tinny? Beefy would be full sounding.
I'm expecting the opposite because I also installed a VST and OBS to basically add an equalizer and cranked all the bass Every bass frequency is up.
Okay.
And the treble isn't turned down. I kind of left it flat because I don't want all the high-pitched hiss.
Okay.
But that may not be the best equalizer. But again, the equalizer's got gain on it. Mm-hmm. And I didn't hear much phones when I was testing it, but I thought, well, I'll give it a shot and see what happens.
Hey, Ray says, greetings from Malaysia. Ray, I will tell you that in July or August, if international travel opens up, that's of my 2-month trip. Both Singapore, I'll spend maybe a week and then head north to Kuala Lumpur, and I'll spend maybe a week there before heading over to the Philippines. So fingers crossed that maybe by July or August,
you're optimistic.
International travel will open up with everyone getting a shot.
When you're there, you gotta grab your phone at some point.
Definitely.
Being somewhere there and just say, so we can see the background and say, hey, it's Mitch just checking in.
And send it to you.
And it won't actually be live. You'll just send me the video and I'll air it. And it will pretend like it's live.
Very nice.
Let's see what else. Sherry McFarland says she's listening with earbuds since others in the room are watching TV.
Okay.
And she says it sounds good in earbuds.
Nice.
Daniel says it sounds like you are close to pegging the gain meter now, maybe somewhat different, a different compression profile. I'm not using any compression. There is no compression. I'm trying to leave it raw.
But these are new mics, so we're testing out new mics.
Yeah, I don't expect to hit it out of the park the first time, but
as long as we're clear.
But I am interested in how they compare to the old mics. These are much larger microphones, and so they should have a much better pickup.
Yep.
But there's also twice the cost. One of those microphones costs twice one of these microphones is twice the cost of the ones I was using. And those were 3 times the cost of the ones that came with the mic. So there's a lot of money involved, and now I just have to learn how to use them. Yep. Steven says, hey, Carey and Mitch, hope things are good and hope you're well. Really loving your content. Thank you, Steven. Demi K contributes $5 Canadian, says, thanks for the great content. You truly rock. Well, thank you for joining us. Todd Wickham contributes $10 Canadian. Thank you, Todd. And again, Demi. I think that
catches it up. So what do we got going today? This is a customer build, right?
Yeah, so normally, when I bring you on, we do these weird builds. Right. And we've been doing weird builds every time. And I thought, well, as we compare one weird build to the next one,
okay,
what defines a weird build?
Is it just the case? Is it the parts in it? I mean, right.
So I thought, we've been doing the weird builds for a while, and you know what would be weird for us to do? A normal build now becomes weird. But that's a weird justification.
Some regular work.
But
okay.
Actually, I have a customer locally that ordered a computer from me. So I'm going to take a step away from the giveaway computers to do some actual work for a paying client who's patiently waiting for their build.
And 4 arms are better than 2.
That's for sure.
Not if you're an octopus. So no, you got to have 8.
Or are they legs?
Right.
There's Marco in the chat. Marco says he's coming out to Arizona with his family for a vacation next week. He wants to meet up with us, go to dinner, and he also owns a Suzuki motorcycle. And he used to work as a technician. Well, he probably still does work as a tech, but he used to work for Marvin B. I don't know if you know who Marvin B is, but Mike Smith and I have had him. We've talked about him. He's invited me on his show. I think I've had Marvin here at least once. I'd like to bring him back more often, but he's a self-employed computer technician, been in business for a couple of decades now. Everybody's in Florida. Mike Smith is in Florida, Marco's in Florida, Marvin's in Florida, I think he's in Florida, everybody's in Florida. So anyway, it'll be good to see him in person.
Yeah.
He's a real person. He's a real technician, so he's a peer. And looking forward to that.
And I'm thinking on maybe Monday, because I've been tracking the weather, it's supposed to
cool down.
Relatively cool. I think I may risk it and take a run out to Roosevelt Lake, which I've never been out to. I don't know whether the park itself will be open because of
You're going during the week? Because the weekends is going
to be I would go Monday, leave. I think it maybe be 3 hours there, so I'd maybe leave at 8.
We're supposed to get some storms too.
That's what it said. But yeah, so I'm like, whatever. But I haven't been out there yet on the bike, and I'd like to before summer hits, and I might be gone.
Well, Marco says his suitcase is ready. You might be picking a good time to come out, Marco, if that's the case.
Yeah.
Superman G says, hey, Carey and Mitch, glad you guys are staying safe. Yeah, we made it this far in life. You can't get this far without staying safe. Thanks, good to see you. Jeff Stacker is in the house. Welcome in, Jeff. Jeff's not blue. Let's turn Jeff blue. There you go, buddy.
Boom. Just like that.
Chris says it doesn't sound, the audio doesn't sound as rich as it did before. Okay, that's useful to know because I'll have to...
Rich Corinthian leather.
Well, again, you know, it may be a setting that I need to adjust, or...
This may solve all your problems.
This might be the solution.
Right.
The issue really is I'm not an audio engineer, and I'm not a video engineer. I'm a technician just trying to figure out this whole audio-video stuff.
Right.
And like I said, I've dropped $4,000 this month on new equipment to continue to upgrade, and that's on top of the $10,000 I dropped about 6 months ago. So as the money permits, I am taking each step. The problem is with the amount of work I've got to do, finding the time to sit down and start fine-tuning stuff when I don't know what I'm doing. I'm guessing, I'm poking around, I'm looking at other YouTube videos, how to adjust, you know, best microphone settings in OBS. And if anybody has any good tutorial links they want to send me that they think, you know, it's like talking to a 5-year-old. That's what I need. Step me through it. If you have any links, please provide them. Not in the super chat, or not in the chat, because I can't see it.
Right.
You know, wait till the video's over. Send it as a comment, or send it in an email. And if you can help provide me that shortcut so I can get it done sooner. Otherwise, I'll just be going video to video to video until I find something. And we'll continue to fine-tune it as things go on, and I balance my workload against, you know, studio setup. I mean, I spent all day yesterday just on the studio, the whole day, the whole new tripod setup. That took all day, and then the new microphone setup. So, yeah, and what do I know? So I'm figuring it out as I go. So I appreciate the feedback on that. We'll get it figured out. Once it's dialed in, it should be perfect until I have to move to another studio or I change cameras or microphones. But as long as the cameras and microphones stay the same and the studio doesn't change, then that means the ambient noise, the ground floor noise, the floor noise, as well as the settings for everything, once they're dialed in, shouldn't have to do it anymore.
Yep.
Michael Dane with $20. You know who Michael Dane is?
The man.
That's right. He's the man. Getting you trained. Yeah. Thank you, Michael, for that $20 contribution.
Glad you're here.
Something to help with shipping. Right on.
All right. So.
And then Nicholas Heglini contributes $20. He says, I can't wait to hear what you are creating this afternoon. Notes below the video. Let's see. Mountain Biking Kid says, Toto is here and the man carry holes. There you go. See what he did there?
Yeah.
Ian Scott Johnson said, the audio is fine, to be honest.
Okay.
And he says that as an ex-sound man.
All right. Yeah, that's good.
That's a compliment if I've ever heard it. I am a perfectionist, and I know that the odds of me nailing this, or never having done it,
are slim to none.
You know,
okay.
Yeah, exactly. Chief,
you'll have to walk up to the
I don't know, Villarreal contributes $5. Thanks, Chief. Hey. Thomas says audio is fine, no need to change it. Well, that's kind, but it's not perfect. It's got to be perfect, but it'll be fine for today.
Yeah.
So what I'm building today, I have a customer. Customer calls me. They've ordered a machine before. They're local here in Phoenix.
Okay.
So I'm not shipping this one. I'll be putting it in the car and delivering it.
Okay.
And they like the computer I built for them. They have a second computer. It's a husband and wife. The husband is very mild usage. He wants to watch videos. He wants to do emails.
Pay bills,
you know, it's all pretty basic stuff. He doesn't require much. But he's been running an HP, and it's getting a little long in the tooth. And he's like, you know, I know you told me, but I'm ready now.
Yeah.
And I said, okay. I said, I could sell you something used for half the price that's going to meet your needs. Or I can sell you something mid-range that's going to meet your needs that'll last longer. or I can sell you my basic 8-year build, which is a bit more money, but then you shouldn't have to worry about it for a long time. Because what I would do, any of those three are going to work for you. The question is, the less you spend, the sooner you're going to revisit this again.
Right.
Okay, so if you want to buy something used, I can get it to you at half price, and I can get it to you today. But probably in about 4 years, you're going to call me and say, I need another one. If I get you something mid-tier like an i5, but new, it's only going to save you maybe $150, maybe $200. And, you know, it's hard to say how long that'll last. Or when I say last, I mean be useful, because it's hard to know. Maybe he's going to start watching 8K videos. Maybe that becomes the new thing. And maybe that starts really trying to you know, maybe it's pushing the resources too far.
Okay.
So I said, then I have the 8-year build. So the 8-year build is using 9th gen Intel chips. Now, why the 9th gen? It's all about cost and availability. I can still pick up socket 1151 motherboards for right around $100. And those motherboards that I'm purchasing have VGA, DVI, and HDMI outputs built into the boards. And because graphics cards are so hard to get, we're just using onboard CPU. Not only does this reduce cost, but it reduces the likelihood of a failure. There's one less part that can fail with no graphics card. It saves money on the computer. It's less to maintain.
Okay.
One less thing to break. And he doesn't need it. He's not he has no interest in games. In fact, he told me, I don't want to spend hours on this thing. The last thing I want to do is sit in front of that thing for 3 hours playing a game. He'd rather be in the kitchen prepping a meal for the. He's one of those guys, he'll spend 2 hours in the kitchen prepping for dinner. That's his thing. That's what he enjoys.
Yeah.
That's his game, right? I respect that. I also enjoy eating. Now, when we go with the 9th gen CPU, we're not going with the latest and greatest. We're not fighting for finding the parts. And a lot of the 10th gen motherboards don't have all those video outputs. That's why I like that B460 from Gigabyte, because it does have the outputs. But that's sold out right now. And the price difference between the 10th gen and the 9th gen on the equivalents, it's maybe $30. It's not a huge price difference. And the motherboard's maybe $10 or $15 different. But you know, that's almost 50 bucks right there. So I said to the guy, I said, here's what I'm going to propose to you. 9700K processor. We'll throw the Noctua cooler on there. It's an $80 cooler, but it's dead silent. The B365 HD3, since I can't get the H370s, we're going to do a B365. It's very similar. You can run the comparison on them. I said, well, you don't need 32 gigs of RAM today. Let's put it in today, and it'll be more than you need for quite some time. And then we'll throw in an Intel 1 terabyte 665p. He's only going to use probably 100 gigs. But if he should start getting into photography, who knows what his interests might be a year or two from now. He can grow into this. There, of course, is the Gigabyte B365 HD3. And because we're not running a GPU separately, we don't need an expensive, really powerful power supply, which also costs more money in electricity. So we're going with a standard EVGA 500 watt, 80 plus certified power supply. And this particular configuration, as a businessman who has sold a few dozen of these, never has any of them come back for repair, ever. And I expect that's the way it's going to be for about 8 years. Now, I have no control over if somebody has a power spike or something that kills the power supply. Or...
He won't give you the speech, this is the last computer I ever You get a lot of...
I do. I have some older customers.
Yeah. This is the last computer.
This is the last one I'm going to buy. Well,
So,
take a guy like Thomas, right? So the way Thomas Backenstow explained it to me, he goes, you know, I'm a giving person, and I've taken care of other people and always put myself second. And that little red and black computer you've got is way more than I will ever use. It's over the top ridiculous. But I just thought to myself, I deserve it. I deserve something nice for me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, good for you.
Yeah.
It's about time.
Yeah. And I'm jealous. I liked it. I thought the case was kind of unique, and yeah, it be.
But he didn't say it was going to be the last one he was going to buy.
No. But we don't know how old he is.
That's true.
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily mean anything.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, somebody might just say, I plan on getting hit by a bus later.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
David Seymour contributes £5. He says, I upgraded my PC to an AMD Ryzen 5950X with a 6900 XT GPU, Red Devil. Carey, it rocks. Right on, David. Good job. Let's make sure David's a moderator in here.
So what do you think? Prep the motherboard first?
Well, just a couple. Chris L. with a $1 contribution. Thank you, Chris. There, I think I got everybody. Did I get everybody? I hope I got everybody. Yeah, we're going to prep the board first.
Okay.
So let's start by, of course, getting the board out of the box. I think it's kind of amusing how long that takes compared to actually putting the parts in.
As you can see, that's new. Ooh, that's new.
So Newegg has the Intel 660p, not the 665 or the 670. The 66p is on sale, and the sale's only good for maybe another 15 hours. It's $99.99 and a purchase limit of 5 units. The reason I mention this is because if certain cryptocurrencies take off, then the Bitcoin, or not the Bitcoin, but the cryptocurrency miners are going to need a lot of hard drives and solid state drives, and that may be the next thing to dry up.
Right.
And you know, people, as soon as they dry up, everybody's going to whine and whinge. When are the prices of SSDs going to come back down? You should have bought it now. So with graphics cards, that's already a bad situation, as we well know. The next thing that's possible are solid state drives and hard drives, and if you're thinking about it, you better pull the trigger, because otherwise, look, this may not happen. There may be no change. But if there was ever going to be a change, this would be when it would happen. There's some new cryptocurrencies. I think one's called Chia, and there's another one called Blue Moon Base, something I can't remember. So anyway, those things require certain hardware to process the hashes or whatever. So
okay.
What do I know? I don't know anything about it. But in any event, this is basically the 8-year build using the 9th gen. I've already shown the 8-year build with the 10th gen, but again, that motherboard, I've got another customer, by the way, who wants the 10th gen 8-year build, but I can't get the board, the B460 from Gigabyte. However, I did see 2 used ones available from Amazon Warehouse, and I ordered it, and I said, would you be okay with that? He goes, well, I really don't want somebody's old trash. I said, well, you know, it's not really old trash and out of the box.
They just
might have ordered the wrong thing
and sent it back. Right.
I said, but if you want to wait, they're supposed to be in stock next month. I mean, I've got everything else. I can get the processor and everything. He wants a 10700K and 32 gigs of RAM and, you know, 1 terabyte Intel. I said, so it's up to you. I don't mind either way. I said, I'm going to go ahead and order these boards because they're so hard to find right now. So I've got 2 used ones coming from Amazon Warehouse, not from some third-party seller. And then I will test them right away. So if anything is missing or not working, I can send it back because Amazon's good on that. Okay. And he said, well, I guess if it meets your requirements, I'm okay with it. Okay. But that initial reaction was, you know, I don't want someone else's trash. And I'm like, hold on, I think you're misunderstanding the term used. It just meant the product was shipped to a customer and it was returned within the return period. Right. When you buy a car and you test drive it, are you buying a used car? Because other people test drove it. Right. And I learned that if a car was sold to somebody and their financing didn't go through, they have to return the car. So they might have put a couple hundred miles on it while they had it. Right. And you look at the odometer, you're like, this thing's got a few hundred miles on it. They go, yeah, well, it's never been sold. And then you find out, well, wait a minute, the Bluetooth in the stereo's got somebody's name assigned to it. So clearly you sold it. Well, in the state of Arizona, if the car wasn't registered, then technically it wasn't sold, and this is still a new car. Yeah. So we're not dealing with that with a used motherboard. That's not, and a car's a lot more money than a $100 motherboard. Yep. Okay. Dave, I already said that. David Seymour. Okay, thank you guys for the contribution support. Thank you guys for joining me today. We've got, we only have 391 people today. Where's everybody?
On this Friday, yeah.
Are you scaring away on my...
Probably, yeah.
Or is it me? Is it my... Do I stink?
No comment.
Just chuck the bag. Just throw it.
No, you smell good.
Felt like you... Now I know why you don't throw. You throw like a girl.
Okay.
Give me your man card. Turn it over.
Okay. All right.
Can't have that anymore.
Here's our motherboard.
All right. Let's see if I set up these cameras correctly. You continue to hold that, and if I switch to this camera, oh, it's a little low. No, go ahead and hold it. Let me move the camera where you're. This is so unique that I can like adjust the camera. Well, there's something there. There we go. And of course, we still have the handheld that we'll use a bit later. So take a look at the end ports. What do we have for video out? Let me see. Point it to them and all. So there's VGA, video out, DVI, video out, HDMI. Most of my clients already have a monitor, but that monitor might be 7 or 8 years old. They like it, they don't want to replace it, it works fine. All these enthusiasts and all their videos they're making on YouTube, they're wanting all the latest and greatest ports and they're buying new monitors. This is not an enthusiast build. This is for real people with, you know, normal amounts of money that aren't, the computer is not the most important thing in their life. It's important, but it's not that important. So there's like two different kinds of people. There are the people who they'll spend $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 on a computer, and there's other people that would look at you like, you know what this reminds me of? Take a little diversion here for a second. I remember telling my dad, first time I bought a pair of Oakley sunglasses. I said, Dad, what do you think of my sunglasses? He goes, they're pretty nice. How much were they? I go, they were $160. He went, what? I bought these at Walgreens for $8. I lose them, you know, I just go buy another pair. I go, Dad, I've never lost a pair of sunglasses. I have several pairs of sunglasses. I live in a desert where the sun is extraordinarily harsh and I only have one set of eyes. Nice. And the optics and the clarity of the lenses on these high-end sunglasses are much better. You're probably harming your eyes to save money. Ah, that's all a bunch of nonsense. I wouldn't pay that much money for a pair of sunglasses. And so what ends up happening is I get kind of bored and the styles change. So I buy another pair and maybe 1 or 2 pair every year or two. So I'm up to like 16 pairs of glasses. I'm at the point now where I put 2 pairs of glasses in every car in case I have a guest driving and they don't have sunglasses. I reach in the glove box, you know, there's a pair in there. I still have the very first pair I bought, which were from the original Men in Black movie, and they're called Ray-Ban Predators. Still have them today. I don't wear them, but I still have them. And
give him the Nutty. He needs them.
Nutty needs some sunglasses?
Yes, I do.
Chill out. So I see value in sunglasses and I justify it, right? And much the same way some people are about their computers, but it doesn't make me right about the justifications, about the clarity of the lenses, the effect it can have on your eyes, because I'm still using readers just like my father is, but I don't know about macular degeneration or what ultraviolet light and everything, because I grew up in Detroit, the sun is not as harsh there. On the other hand, in the wintertime when it's reflecting off the snow, that can be pretty bad. But what I'm saying is that is my priority, and it's my justification, and it's my money. And I don't want you to think for a minute that that should be your priority, that you should have to buy an expensive pair of sunglasses too. Much the same way when you're watching other YouTube channels where they're showing these extravagant builds, it might be really nice to look at. I like cats, but I wouldn't want to own one. Like if it's somebody else's cat, I'm fine with it. But that being said, we each have our own individual preferences and we justify them. And don't feel bad or feel like you're less than because you're practical and you want a good computer. You don't want a unreliable, crappy computer that's difficult or impossible to repair, like a lot of the cheap stuff sold by the mass manufacturers. And you also don't want to invest in it to a level where you're going to lose the value in a year. You know, it'll be worth half its value. So this is my specialty. This is where I shine. And my customers who value that recognize I'm one of the few computer technicians that actually deals in practicality. And practicality means we're not overspending, we're not underspending, we're using parts that are very, very good in performance, very affordable, reliable, accessible. I mean, there's no, what's the point if everything's out of stock? Well, that's a great part. Too bad you can't buy it. How many times have you guys seen YouTube video reviews of products that are sold out? What's the point? Why are we talking about it? It's gone. So I'm of the practical mindset of doing something worth doing. And in my opinion and in my experience, this has proven to be very good for me because I've never had one of these come in for repair. And if anything, the downside is people want to order more of them.
Yep.
But you can build this yourself. All the parts are readily available, at least here in the USA. And if you don't see the B365 available, just look for the B365M if you don't mind the micro ATX board. And those are relatively inexpensive. And it doesn't have to be from Gigabyte. Any B365 pretty much should be decent. Okay, so
want to put the chip in? Should we use the close-up camera? Or you've got plenty of videos showing you put the chip in, but we can do it if you want. Yeah.
Something to do.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, we'll put the chip in, we'll put the SSD in, and we can work on the heatsink back. Well, we can put the heatsink on, plug the RAM in, and we can fire it up. You know, plug the power supply and switches on it while it's out of the case.
Yep.
Fire it up, get Windows installed.
Okay.
That's what you can look forward to at home, and cheer us along as we go. I absolutely love this wireless camera.
Yeah, and the pistol.
And I cannot think.
And the pistol grip made all the difference in the world in terms of holding it.
Oh yeah, and the people who make this wireless, this is 600. This piece right here on top, $650, was sent to me by the manufacturer in exchange for me giving them a shout out, and they're called Hollyland. This thing is awesome.
Yeah.
The Freedom. We're tripping over cables here all the time.
Cables, and then I'm worried about knocking the cable out while we're filming. And
yeah, I love this thing. The battery, this standard battery is good for about 3 to 4 hours.
Okay.
And then this battery on the back of the camera is worth about 5 hours, and then the memory card will hold about 11 hours. So we can use this for quite some time. And then there's a matching unit, looks just like this. It's behind the streaming computer, and I have to turn on. And then it's gonna, takes it a second to recognize each other, and then I can flip over on OBS to this camera. And then Mitch can hold that and point it down so you guys can get nice close-ups, which is better than a static overhead camera which never moves.
Right.
As long as, you know, Mitch hasn't had too much caffeine today and looks like he's got Parkinson's, we'll be okay.
Yeah.
No, you're actually really, really good. You're better than me on that. He's got steady hands. Planet Cryos contributes $5, says, hey, Carey and Mitch. You may notice some edits coming from Planet Cryos. He's doing a fantastic job, and be sure and check out his videos. Marco is asking us to please stay alive at least until next Wednesday. Yeah, I don't know if that's going to cross into my plans, but you know what? For you...
every time I jump on a motorcycle, I'm driving away from my home going, you know, this probably could be, could be my day, but that's why I go during the week. There's less traffic. I go to areas where there are just 2-lane roads and it's only me. I go in the morning. So I'm not mixing it up with urban traffic when I ride. I tend to go out of town and like it. And so, yeah, my life insurance is all going to Carey and,
the problem is there's a deductible.
Right.
All right. So
how about the storage first?
Either way.
Okay.
Whatever you say.
All right. Well, you want to put it in, or you want me to?
Whatever you want to do.
Let's, I'll hold the camera.
You're going to hold it?
Yeah.
Well, there it is. I've handed you the Excalibur.
Okay.
And I'm now going to activate it on OBS. So here we go. There he is, ladies and gentlemen.
Because it's here that we're going to...
No, I think it's above. Up here.
Oh, we're going to do that one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah.
This is the half-speed one here.
Ah, yeah.
Then this one here is like for a little wireless card right here. See how short it is?
Yeah.
And then this one up here, this one will be the full-speed one.
Okay. Right
so
there.
To do that, we need the solid-state drive, which I have right here. This is the Intel 665P. So the 660Ps that are on sale today at Newegg, no coupon code is needed. They're $99.99. This is not a paid thing. Newegg doesn't even know I'm promoting it. I'm just sharing the information as a friend to let you guys know. It's only, that sale is only good for the rest of today. I think by midnight tonight, that sale is off. And it's quite possible that these all solid state and mechanical drives may start to escalate in price depending on the future of cryptocurrency and how that catches on. So if you're on the fence about it, now's the time. All investment requires risk. So if you, I've already opened, understand you had an opportunity and you missed it. If you choose not to wait, worst case scenario is the price just doesn't go that high. It'll just return.
He who hesitates is lost.
I don't know why this is open. I must have used it in something. Anyway, so a machine like this is usually around $900 when you include the cost of Windows 10 Pro along with the hardware, and it's about $100 in labor is all. So that's our storage. Let me grab the JIS driver. If you're new here, all the parts and tools you see me use are all available in the video notes. They're all detailed in the video notes below the video. Be sure and sign up for follow me on Twitter if you want updates to things while I'm offline and you want to know what's going on. Sometimes I post relevant news items or things of interest to me, like there was a guy showing a percentage trick I didn't know. Do you know what 16% of 60 is?
In college, I failed addition and subtraction of whole numbers.
Well, here's the way I was taught. By the way, that's the install.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you a break here for a second.
Easy peasy.
I gotta deal with a squirrel here. In school, I was taught to do it, if you want to do it, the math in your head, you would take 10%, which was easy.
Okay.
So if you had 60, 10% of 60 is 6. It's really easy. You know, a dime is 10% of a dollar, which is 100 pennies. A dime is 10 pennies.
Okay.
Right? So it's that easy. If I had 10 Lego bricks and I take one off, that's 10%. Okay. So 15% would be another 10, but half of it. So it takes me a while to get there, right? So if they said 15%, I could go to 20%. So if we did 60, that's 6 plus 6, but half of 6 is 3, so that's 9. Does that make sense? Did you follow the logic? Or am I going too quick?
Yeah.
15%, because it's hard for me to do the 5, it's easy to do 10.
Right. So
if I know 10% of 60 is 6, then 20% is 12, 30% is 18, just keep adding 6. 40%, okay. Right? So if I start at 10% and then I go to 15%, I just say, okay, well, if 10% of 60 is 6, then half of 6 is 3, 6 plus 3 is 9. So 15% of 60 is 9. But this guy on YouTube showed something I'd never heard of before, and that is with a lot of math problems, if you say what's 3 times 2, or you say what's 2 times 3, it's the same.
Right.
Well, likewise, if you want to know what 16%, now 16 is difficult because it doesn't work in my way. I can only do halves. when you start getting to thirds or odd numbers, it's sort of like, okay, wait a minute. Now I got to get paper and pen out, or I got to pull out a calculator or my smartphone. So he says you can reverse it. Now, this is an old trick that I just was never taught. So instead of saying what's 16% of 60, ask yourself what's 60% of 16. And that's interesting because we know 50% of 16 is 8, right? And I was absolutely fascinated that that actually works. I had no idea you could reverse that. But of course, you know, if you add 4 plus 2 or 2 plus 4, it doesn't matter what order you do it in. The math is always the same. And so I posted a link to that video on my Twitter. And this is just to give you an example of what this stuff is you can find on my Twitter, along with computer-related articles from oftentimes PC World and other news-related sites that I don't cover here on the channel. And my interests, like the new Star Wars animated series, The Bad Batch, is coming out May the 4th, and there's a trailer for that. And I post that. So if you're interested, follow me on Twitter, and you can expect that kind of content that differs a little bit from the channel. But the whole percentage thing is explained a lot better. How have I gone my whole life and never known that? That's so much easier in some cases to reverse it the other way. And I'm trying to remember when he did, was it 16% of 60? And you say, well, what's 60% of 60? I can't remember exactly. Maybe it was 40%. Whatever it was, the math was super easy to do in my head. Mm-hmm. But that's not always, it depends on the numbers. Sometimes the numbers are easier if you flip them the other way. And other times it's still like, hold on, it's still too complicated. Yeah. But at least it gives me another, there's nothing that I like more than I walk through a store with somebody and it says, you know, this is 30% off. And I go, well, that means it's that much. I'm like, how did you get there that quick? Well, I took 10% and then I multiplied it 3 times, right? So if it's $100, it's 30% off, that's $30, $70. How do you know that so fast? It was super easy. It's barely an inconvenience. But the minute you say, well, it's 17% of $127, I'm like, hold on, right? So anyway, it's really cool math trick. So if I see cool videos like that,
thank heaven for these.
Yeah, well, that's true. But by the time you're punching it in,
right.
I will often have a little contest with friends when we're trying to think of something. And I'll say, you Google it. Let me think about it for a second. Let's see who gets there first. Because sometimes like the answer's in my head and I'm just trying to find it.
That's because they just want to see the smoke coming out of your ears.
But every now and again, I beat Google.
Yeah.
That's like, it's interesting the way the brain works, that I know it, and I don't know what's happening in my head that causes it to suddenly become clear, but it's kind of makes me proud when I'm faster than Google.
There you go.
Yeah. All right.
On to the CPU next. Very nice.
You want to do the CPU next?
Yeah.
Well, we're done with the solid state drive. So let me just clear this out of the way. And let's put Nutty away. We'll bring Nutty out every time we have a squirrel moment. I got Nutty a squirrel feeder. Where'd I put it?
It's right here. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's the squirrel feeder. This looks like a little arcade game. I got it off Etsy. It's an arcade squirrel feeder. And what it is you put like nuts or stuff right here.
Right there.
And the squirrels, real squirrels, will come up to this and it looks like they're playing an arcade game. It's like $30 on Etsy. I had to have it. And then this way, we have a little...
He's very easily amused.
We have a little nerd squirrel.
Yeah.
See?
Yay!
Next game. All right. I just thought that was really cool. Because, you know, I'm a nerd.
Yeah. Okay, there's our CPU right there.
Let me just clear some counter space. Get out of here.
And we'll...
okay, CPU.
We'll switch to close up.
You ready?
As I'll ever be.
All right, so take a look at the box. Here's our Core i7 9700K. These are about $290, anywhere from $290 to $300 would be the going rate. I think I paid $294, but you know, a couple of bucks here or there is reasonable. What upset me is when I ordered this on Amazon, it was $309, and I had to have it, so I ordered it. As soon as I ordered it and I refreshed and I went back, it said it was $293. So I immediately canceled the order and then added the one for $293 to my cart. I mean, the fact that Amazon lets me do that, the fact that Amazon will sell me the higher priced product when the lower price is available was upsetting, but thankfully I noticed it saved me $20.
They call that a double sawbuck. $20.
A double sawbuck?
Double sawbuck.
What does that mean?
A sawbuck is $10.
Since when?
A double sawbuck. That's a very old term.
Well, I mean, 2 bits. Shaving a haircut, 2 bits.
That's 25 cents. A bit is 12.5 cents. So 2 bits is a quarter. So shaving a haircut, 2 bits is 25 cents.
Did they ever give you half a penny change?
I don't know.
Are you speaking from experience on this subject?
I'm a very smart man. All right.
How much did you pay for your haircut? It looks, was that about 2.5 bits?
No, Benjamin Franklin.
I thought he was dead. He's doing haircuts now? All right, here we go. You know what that is?
Yeah.
That'll make the computer go faster.
Woohoo.
It's a go faster sticker.
And that's a 9700K.
Yeah, that's $300.
Woo. Okay.
Blackwatch said, hey, I didn't get any notifications. I missed the first hour. Well, you didn't miss much.
Amen to that.
Don't worry, we've been waiting for you.
Yeah, but it's Friday, payday.
Is it payday?
For me, I mean.
That's what you think.
That's what I was thinking. All right.
I'm surprised he's laughing.
Yeah.
I know why I'm laughing.
Yeah, gypped again. All right, here we go.
Back for more abuse.
All
right. My Amazon wish list. All right. Hey, listen, I got all the free Band-Aids and Gatorade you can handle. That's your health plan, by the way. Free Band-Aids and Bactine. Is Bactine still a thing? Does anybody know what that is?
I do.
Of course you do. It probably cost you 3 bits.
Yeah.
You remember when we talked about bits before, it referred to computers.
Right.
That's how old Mitch is.
All right. And there's your CPU installed that easily. Ooh, RAM.
Do you remember the invention of dirt?
RAM coming up. Something you're as old as. All right. So,
all right, so the cooler, I've really been digging this. I was opposed to Noctua. Let me stand on the other side of the table so you can see me. I was really digging, sorry, let me rephrase. I was really knocking Noctua for their costs. I thought they were extravagantly priced and overrated by enthusiasts. And it seems like Noctua has become more reasonable. This is an $80 cooler from Noctua. And I remember it seemed like all Noctua coolers were over $100, as I remember a few years ago. And they have a cheaper version of this available where it's not all black, and it's their Redux line, and it's $49.99, the same price as a Scythe Mugen 5. They're just not in stock yet, but at least here in the United States at Amazon. I like the black color. You're essentially paying for the color scheme, the extra $30. As far as I can tell, it's the same cooler painted differently with a different color fan. It's a silver heatsink and a gray fan. And I suppose there's some accessories or something like that little blister maker screwdriver they don't include, but good riddance. But this cooler is very easy to install, and because we need access up here, the Scythe cooler is so large, it makes it, if you guys have watched my other videos, you'll notice it makes it difficult for me to plug this cable on after I put the heatsink on. So I have to change the order of how I do things. Right. But with this heatsink on, I have no problem reaching in there. Nice. And you might say, well, what's the big deal? Well, the big deal is later on when you need to change something and you need to, let's say your power supply dies and you've got to replace the power supply. You've got to unplug this cable, but then you have to take the heatsink off. Now the heatsink's only 2 screws. It's not that big of a deal, but you also have to take the fan off.
Then you have to pull out Carey's magic forceps.
No.
Not with.
Once you pull the side cooler off, so that the steps to removing the side cooler or any tower air is first you must remove the fan, because the fan covers one of the screws that's holding the heatsink in. And the fan is then plugged in here, so you would either need to unplug the fan or move it where it isn't going to fall or hurt anything. Then you can pull the heatsink off, and then you can get to this connector. Or this connector where the fan goes, and let's say your rear fan dies, with that side Mugen 5 in a 200R using a Gigabyte board where these connectors are in this corner, it makes it very, very difficult, and it adds steps. Now, if you just have one computer, that's no big deal. You go through the extra steps. If you're a servicing technician and you're servicing hundreds of these, this adds to a lot of time and labor. So to spend $30 more,
Right.
to me, is worth it. It seems to cool in many ways identically. And as I mentioned, there is a $50 version, which is the same price as the Scythe. And the Scythe is not black either. The Scythe is not much to look at. It's silver with like I think a black fan. And so the Noctua Redux version of this cooler is a silver heatsink. It's still the same heatsink, it's just silver. And then the fan is gray. Now this case has no windows. Nobody's ever going to see it. But I still take a lot of pride in, anytime the customer might take the panel off, they won't complain that it looks too good. Right? It kind of stands out as just being a little upper scale. And for $30 to have the customer, be impressed, I think it's worthwhile.
Yep.
But again, I don't have any problem with the Mugen 5. I do still like it. This is just a preference.
Okay.
Yeah. You getting this unboxing?
Oh yeah.
Noctua should be in the packaging business. Look at how they package this. It's ridiculous. All of the mounting hardware is here. And I just figured something out. I realized, but it wasn't obvious to me until recently, so we'll talk about that in a minute. A pointless piece of cardboard is here. And then our cooler and fan are located here. Sometimes it's easier to turn a box upside down. Remember this when you're unboxing things that are heavy, rather than trying to pull them out. And then they have like this origami
Wings.
See how that opens?
Yep.
And this will just slide right out. There's no thermal compound pre-applied, but this is still protecting and keeping the surface clear of any contamination or oils from your skin. So we're going to leave that on. So this is all just folded up card. It's ridiculous and over the top. We'll just put it back like it was. So if I don't, it takes up too much room in my recycle bin. Okay, so I'm done with that. In this box is all of our mounting hardware. And if you notice, we have 3 different sets of direction. One for AMD, see where it says AMD right there? One for Intel socket, I can't read it, 115X, which is also socket 1200, by the way. And then one for the higher end Intel socket 20XX. But check out the box. You see this little section right here?
Yep.
That's your AMD section.
Okay.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
This is your Intel section. And then this is your case badge, your thermal compound. There's also extra fan hangers if you wanted to add an additional fan. There's that blister making screwdriver, if you want to call it a screwdriver.
Yeah.
This is an insult, and Noctua is better than that. And then these are additional anti-vibration pads if you were going to add a fan on the other side.
Okay.
You'll never see me do that because it's a complete waste of time. And I think anybody who adds a second fan to their radiator is wasting their money, and it's going to cost them more money to run the computer, and they have a second point of failure they're introducing, and it makes very little difference in the actual cooling performance, as well as introduces more noise. and oddly introduces more heat because the fan motors generate heat. So for me, it's a no-brainer to never use those. However, it's good to have them as spares. Now this section up here, this is our Intel section. So these are the brackets we need for Intel. These are the screws we need for Intel right here. And underneath, that's the bracket we need for Intel.
Okay.
You notice we don't have to, on other coolers, you have to see me push these, what are these called? These screws, sometimes on some of the cooler brackets, they have like a long elongated cut, and then you can position it at the front, at the back, or in the middle, depending on which socket you have. This is all done for you.
Nice.
I love it. And then all this stuff, because it's for AMD, we'll just keep it, in a Ziploc bag.
Put it in the motherboard
in case
box,
the owner of this computer maybe wants a different cooler, and they give this cooler to a friend who's got an AMD, they'll need those parts. Because the cooler never really goes obsolete as long as you have a socket that'll fit it. And because this is for two different types of Intel sockets, there's going to be some of these little standoffs will be extra. Okay? Because you use one type for socket 1151, use a different type for socket 20XX. So that will also go in the Ziploc bag of spare parts, along with the documentation, along with these little rubber anti-vibration pads, along with the extra, anything that's extra. Okay, we keep it all together in a Ziploc bag with the documentation so that the owner of the computer who says, gee, I wonder what's in this Ziploc bag, if you just look at the paperwork, it says it's for the cooler. Right. And because there's going to be spare screws for the case and other hardware and other documentation going in the motherboard box, there's an abundance of stuff here specifically for the cooler, and I don't want it intermingling and confusing to anybody that has to work on this computer in the future. Okay. That's the OCD at its finest. So for 90 bucks, or I'm sorry, for $80, I think it's $79.99 at Amazon for this cooler. You're getting a lot for your money. It's very versatile. And the packing that Noctua does for their products is ridiculous, over the top. If Noctua's coolers don't work out, maybe they can go into the business of packing stuff. I've never received anything from Noctua damaged from shipping. Okay. It's overkill packing. Now you'll notice this bracket, it's got these two holes here and then this cutout at the top. And if we turn the motherboard over, because this goes behind the board, you'll notice sometimes I hesitate when the manufacturers of other coolers give me the bracket and I don't know which way it goes on. Sometimes it matters. Hyper 212 Evo from Cooler Master, it matters. And like I said, you got to put these pins in yourself and they can be kind of wonky. But because this is already done for you, and because these holes, they automatically, without any further instruction, it should be pretty obvious. You see these two screws? One here, one here. You see this one here? What do you think?
The notch goes
because in theory,
below.
I want you to think about this. In theory, we could put this on this way. Yeah. We could also put this on this way. We could also put this on this way. Okay. And finally,
the right way.
The right way, and you can tell it's the right way because look at how the holes line up. So there's no doubt that what you're doing is correct. And if you're a novice builder, this kind of stuff is critical to reassure you that you're doing everything correctly without second guessing yourself. It's obvious. So Noctua has knocked it out of the park with that. Forget everything else. That is what other cooler manufacturers, in my opinion, need to do. Okay. Now in this bag we have some standoffs. You see these little plastics? They're not standoffs, they're spacers. Now those spacers are going to go over this non-threaded area of these screws, and then these brackets are going to sit on top. But do you notice how there's capacitors right here? Mm-hmm. And here? Without those spacers, we could crush those capacitors. Right. So I'm going to grab some scissors. Mitch is going to hand me some scissors. Thank you, Mitch. And I'm going to dump these parts out. And the parts we need are these spacers. See how easy this is? Just drop them on there. No effort. Now, if you pan back over here, Mitch, you'll see we have thumb screws, and then we have these standoffs. A socket 20XX from Intel doesn't need a bracket. It's already built in. So all you have to do literally is screw this down onto the motherboard's bracket, onto the motherboard CPU socket. It's got threaded holes. You see there's a short side and a long side? Yep. And that's unique to Intel's, it's like their X series of processors, which I don't use here because they're very expensive and they're really for business use. But in that case, you don't use the rear bracket. And I don't think you wouldn't use the spacers either. Then those would be spare parts that would go in a Ziploc bag. Basically what I'm telling you is we're not going to use these parts, so they can go in the Ziploc bag. Now these brackets can go on, and you want, if you notice the bracket, it says this side up. That's a nice touch. Not a lot of manufacturers do that. Does it go on this way? Does it go on that way? We don't want that. See how that screw is standing up, that stud? If we turn this upside down, it could collide with one of these capacitors, and if you torque that down, punch a hole right through it, you're done. That's not a warranty issue. And you notice these can go on this way. These can go on this way. This can go on upside down. You could make it fit. You can even put it on backwards. But it's not going to work. So think of it, here's how I remember to do it. You see this latch that we lifted to put the CPU in? On an Intel platform, that goes over the latch. And the opposite side is symmetrical, meaning it's the exact opposite. You understand? This one's bowing out to the left, well, to the right, like an open and closed.
Or parentheses.
Yeah, exactly. That's the proper orientation. You'll notice, remember when I said they have these elongated holes where there's 3 positions? That's often found on the back plates where you have to put the studs in yourself. That only exists here, and it doesn't really require any rocket surgery because there's no other way to align it.
Okay.
Right? It just sits where it needs to sit. And then these thumb screws that we have, they don't go here. They go over here. And you know how you know that? There's only 2 of these, but there's 4 of these.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll just start by tightening these down, or getting them started before we tighten them down, I should say. This is absolutely one of the easiest third-party cooler installs. Now look, Scythe's installation process is easy.
Right.
This is just even easier if that's even possible. And it's not more difficult on the AMD side, but it is different.
I'll get you a better screwdriver. You want Big Red?
No, let's use the blister. We'll use the just because this may be what you at home use.
Okay.
And of course I'm on the Lazy Susan, so the board's trying to turn on me. You'll notice I'm building on the motherboard box, and the reason for that is the motherboard box is a natural anti-static, it's cardboard, and I don't want to scratch the Lazy Susan or the countertop because the bottom of the board is very sharp and points all over the bottom of it, and it can scratch things up pretty badly. And if I move this Lazy Susan on this counter, well, look right here. Look what I've done. I screwed that up. I think I'm just covering it up right now. I mean, this is a workbench. It's not supposed to be. Look at here. Can you get this? Oh, this one. Look at this one right here. Look what I did. Yeah. So ideally, oh no, that's just. Ideally, if I'm going to scratch anything, the Lazy Susan's cheaper. This is a $39 Lazy Susan. I don't mind if I scratch this up. This is a $900 countertop.
Okay.
But it is a workbench, and if you ain't scratching it, you ain't working hard enough. But anyway, the motherboard box can get as scratched up as it wants to. It doesn't bother me. But that is ready now for the cooler, because what's going to happen is we're going to put thermal compound on, and you see the fan is overneath. It's overneath. Is that a word?
Yeah. It's a new word you just made up. Okay, yeah.
The fan has to come off because the screw is underneath. And you see how there's 2 screws?
Yep.
And you see how there's 2 points? Those 2 studs?
Yep.
So these are a female style of thread, when in a lot of other coolers, it's the other way around. So Noctua's kind of reversed that. But either way, it works the same. And so because these are already put in, on some coolers, you have to put, you see this crossbar? Like when I do the Pure Rock 2 from Be Quiet, you have to put the crossbar in, and it's like, which way does it go? Does it go this way? Does it go that way? This is already mounted for you. And this is a pain in the butt on the Hyper 212 Evo, by the way. This is the scissor thing you always see me struggling with. This is what makes this part of it a pleasure, because everything's already done for you. Once you apply your thermal compound, you're going to put this in where this fan is closest to your RAM.
Okay.
This fan does not go up or down.
Nope.
You couldn't put it on that way if you tried. It has to either go with the fan facing the RAM or the fan facing the I/O. And the problem with the fan facing the I/O is you're reversing the airflow of the rear case fan is going to be here blowing air out. And if this fan is right next to it sucking air in, you're going to have like this void of no airflow. So you want all your fans facing the same direction, pointing all the air out towards the back of the case.
Okay.
Also, when that's screwed down, you'll see over here how much room it leaves
for the RAM.
We're not going to bump up against it.
Nice.
Now on some coolers, and I'm not sure Noctua looks like it's not a problem. That's not a problem on the Noctua, but on the Scythe, it becomes a real problem. And on many others, I think even on the Be Quiet, the orientation is critical, or it can overlap the RAM. So if you had RGB RAM, you wouldn't see the RGB on some of it because of your cooler. And changing the RAM, diagnosing it or upgrading it would mean, hey, you have to take the cooler off. Well, if you would have installed the cooler right to begin with, that would never have been an issue. So for us to lock this cooler down, I have to take the fan off. And the way the fan comes off, you have these little hangers here. And you'll notice the fan from the factory kind of sticks up a bit over the top. Now, we don't have to put that back exactly, but you'll see what they did from the factory here is it's completely level with the bottom. And I'm going to try and replicate that, but it doesn't have, you can see it can fit into any of these little grooves. So whether the fans moved a ½ inch one way or another really does not affect the cooling. But there are people on the internet that might say, well, I get 0.3 degrees Celsius cooler if I move the fan a ¼ inch. And yeah, don't be that guy, please. It's neurosis, and they make pills to help people with that. Now I'm going to grab some thermal compound. Now here in this bag, right here, Mitch, you got this bag?
Scissors?
No, this is stuck with some sticky tape. See, you find the opening. See that?
Very nice.
That's a sealed bag. So if I pull it apart, see what I'm saying? Now it's open and I can dump the contents out. And I don't want that bag anymore because this little thing right here is called a low noise adapter. Do you know how you generate less noise on a fan? You lower its speed. You know what happens when you lower its speed? It's not backed. So we don't use these. These standoffs here, as I mentioned, this is all AMD stuff. These are the 2 extra fan brackets. We're not putting an extra fan on. This is like the weight of a United States nickel. It's the heaviest case badge I've ever seen. It's built like a tank. I don't stick any of this stuff on, but I'll put it in a Ziploc bag with the rest of that stuff. Here's our thermal compound. This is standard Noctua NH1. You can buy this compound on Amazon. You can get a great big tube of it like this for about $8. In it, you know, these people want to use this cryonaut stuff. You're wasting your money unless you're an extremist overclocker where 1 degree centigrade or Celsius makes a difference. You are wasting your money. And look, if you want to, there's nothing illegal about wasting your money. Go ahead. But I'm trying to stay in business and keep my prices reasonable for my clients. My clients don't want to pay for something where they're not going to know a difference. So we're going to put a dab on there about like that. And we have plenty of compound left in here. So I'm going to close that up before it leaks. And we probably have 2 more full applications. So in case we screw it up or we want to, if we want to reapply it in a year or 2, you don't want to use, this compound in this tube will not be good in a year or 2. It'll come out real thick and gummy.
Okay.
It's got to be quite viscous. This is ideal, the way that this came out of the tube, and you can kind of see the glisten of the, what's the word, of the liquidity of it. Okay. Is that a word? You can tell it's wet.
When you have money, your liquidity.
Well, you can tell it's, can you see that that's wet?
Yep.
Okay, when it gets old, it won't have that look anymore.
Right.
You see the light kind of shining off of it?
Yep.
So that tells us it's viscous and it spreads very easily. If you're pushing on your thermal compound and you lift your finger up and it's not sticking, that's old thermal compound. Even if it's expensive thermal compound, it's no good anymore. It's expired. So I'm just finger painting, and I want to cover the top of that CPU.
And you're not pressing hard, right? I mean,
you don't need to.
No.
Just enough pressure to, as you
move
would
it around,
finger paint, right? However much pressure you do when you finger paint.
Okay.
Then you'll see I'm going to tap it.
Okay.
What do you think? How's that look?
Ruffles have ridges. That's an old.
Ruffles
have ridges. It's an old potato chip. All right. And now,
I just touched the end of the glove with the thermal compound and got it on myself. Now we can attach the heat sink, and it's so easy, Mitch. So easy.
Okay.
The fan, we can put a fan on each side. But if you notice, it says Noctua, and it's written in this direction. Whether I put the fan on this way, whether I put the heatsink on like this or like this is equal.
Okay.
The only difference is the OCD. I want those words, Noctua, facing this, because that's how it came out of the box, if you notice. The fan was here. If I put it this way, the words, you see how the words are going this way on the heatsink?
Yep.
I want to follow that same orientation. That seems to be an industry standard. It has nothing to do with the efficacy of the cooler. It's all about the aesthetic, and it just looks right. And it takes as much effort to put it on one way or the other. So why not put it on where it looks good?
You know, when you were talking about those 2 studs, I thought you were talking about Mitch and Carey. So I was a little confused for a minute. But
I'm trying to think of something funny. There's just nothing funny about that.
Witty.
It's just true.
Yeah. So,
it's very understandable.
Okay.
I completely see how that would have confused you. Is that why you were tired today? Did they put you out to stud this week and now you're just exhausted?
No. Rode a motorcycle on Monday out to Bartlett Lake,
I am struggling with this little blister maker. I just want to get the darn thing started here.
You want a better screwdriver?
No, I'm going to use the tools they give me, and then we'll see if it causes any blistering. You'll notice I give them a few turns and switch to the other side. It's just like when you tighten a tire on a car. You don't want to tighten one bolt and move on to the next. You want to go to the opposite bolt so that you don't accidentally. If you hear a little squeaking, that's normal as it tightens down. Once these are fully tightened, you'll know because they will come to a complete and dead stop. Just like that one did. There we go. Just check them one more time. And they will not budge. Done.
Okay.
I can take the fan, and I want the cable, this power cable on this fan, which is supposed to be in this little track right here. I want that to come out. This side where all these support brackets are, this is the side that the air is moving in.
Right.
This side where the fan is spinning, this is the side that's pulling air in. So I want the air to get pulled in and blow through this radiator. And then I don't want to wrap this cable all the way around to come over here. So what I want to think about is where this power cable is going to plug in here. So when I'm deciding, and Noctua helps you with that if you leave these little metal brackets on the way you took it off, then I can just align the bottom just the way it was, right? And then you pull on this hanger and it locks in. Come over to the other side, I'll show you. You got to hold it now, and it will like to tilt. You see how I can tilt this?
Yeah.
So try and figure out where it's, you know what, if I put it in like that, it's still going to work.
Okay.
It just looks ugly. So I want it to look right. I don't want somebody to think, did the guy who built your computer know what he was doing? There we go. And then let me come to you on this one. Here on the board, there's a different color fan header. That's our CPU fan header. And you'll see there's little grooves on the plug. See those grooves?
Yep.
And then you see this plastic piece that's sticking up?
Yep.
That ensures that you plug this connector on the, it won't go on this way. It's got to go on. So those grooves hug.
Slide right in, yeah.
Now I realize you're just looking at my hand right now. There's not much I can do about that. But once you align it correctly, that's how it looks when it's proper. And then usually at this point, I'll take a nylon zip tie and just, take this extra cable and zip tie that so it looks nice and clean. Once we install our RAM in this, I'm going to use the gray sockets here. That preps the board.
Okay.
We can then fire it up, look for a BIOS update, and install Windows on it.
Okay.
Once we're done with that, it's a matter of, pretty routine matter of installing the motherboard into the case. Now, because this is one of those Gigabyte boards that's a little bit longer, it's got that extra mounting hole right here. Ever supply a mounting point for that hole. Okay. So for most of you following along at home, you will leave that hole empty unless you just happen to own a case. By the way, the only company I know that was Gigabyte, the people who make the board. But on a Corsair 200R and on all these Silverstone cases and all the NZXTs, there's no mounting point for that. And it's fine, you don't have to use it. However, I have these old plastic standoffs from the 90s that we used to use when we installed motherboards. And I've always kept them because, I didn't know when the standard was going to change. And it turns out I can use those today just as support for that side of the board, which is completely and totally unnecessary, but it doesn't hurt to have it. So this one's nice and yellow. See, that one's already got the nub wore off. It's already smooth. See how I have a bunch of these? Look how aged they are. You see the different, how the plastic or the nylon is changing color in time. And some of these have little nubs on the end, and I have to use wire cutters and cut those little nubs off. This one was already made for this.
Nice.
So if we just go to that mounting point right now, push that through, and it locks in. It's not required. You can still buy these at Amazon, and the link for them is in my Amazon links.
Okay.
But it's completely unnecessary, and you can't just buy one. Can you imagine? For what it costs, you might as well get like 50 of them. And I want to reemphasize, you absolutely do not need to have that. I wouldn't go out and buy them. I just happen to have them. And, if these little standoffs could tell a story, this one could probably tell you something about the 1990s. That's how old that is.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to grab a little nylon zip tie and deal with that. How you doing? You want to go back to the main camera and rest your hands, or are you still hanging in there?
It's up to you.
Well, we don't normally show the cable management because there's no right or wrong way to do it.
Okay.
You just kind of make it look nice, whatever that takes. I buy these little 4-inch black nylon zip ties. I get 1,000 of them for about $10. That means they're about a penny a piece. So I don't mind if I experiment around with my cable management. I don't like it, I cut the things off and throw them away. So it costs me 20, 30 cents by the time I'm done. On most builds, I probably use between 30 and 50 zip ties. So that's somewhere between 30 and 50 cents. It's not a big deal. People go, oh, you wasted a perfectly good zip tie. Oh no, it's a whole penny.
Yeah.
That's like one view on YouTube, by the way. 1 penny.
Penny for your thoughts.
Now see,
okay.
look, it won't even latch. Look, it just broke. Did you see it break?
Yeah.
The ones that are breaking in my hands are not the ones I bought from Amazon. Those are the ones that came included with a power supply or a case. And I can't tell you which manufacturer did that to me, but the ones I buy from Amazon are a little thicker. This one feels like one of the ones I buy. You notice how I fold the cable in on itself? I don't just roll it in a ball. I put the flat edges together.
Okay.
You don't have to over tighten it. Just make it tight enough where the cable won't slip out of it, and cut the pigtail off. I use a pair of wire cutters. You see how those wire cutters have an angle to them? That allows me to get real smooth. It also enables me that if I have to cut this off, you don't want to stick the wire cutters in like this because you could cut your cable.
Right.
Use the smooth edge of the wire cutters to go right up against the, and then you're not cutting into your cable.
Okay.
It's a little technique you can use to ensure you don't, if you cut into your cable, time for a new fan. Or if you cut into one of your front port umbilical cables, you have to order a whole new front port. Or do a real sloppy patch job and splice job if you're cheap on your otherwise brand new $1,000 computer build. Who wants to see that? I'm going to come over here. Don't film me, but I'm going to come over here and grab a Ziploc bag because I want to get those. We're done with the cooler, so everything left over is now spare parts, which, as I mentioned, might be needed at some point in the future by the owner of the computer. I certainly, it doesn't benefit me to save them. So we just stick everything in here. I include the documentation so we know what's in this bag. Even the extra thermal compound, the AMD brackets, the AMD screws. But all the other documentation, like for the solid state drive, all that stuff, that's not in this bag. This is something I uniquely do for coolers. And of course the customer can have the blister maker.
Yep.
I don't want that. Okay.
RAM time.
Now, I found a pretty good deal on this RAM. This is from a company called Team. This is their Elite T-Force RAM. I was not happy when I had to contact our technical support. They didn't seem to understand what to do. But now when I buy their RAM, I'm just like, okay, if I have to deal with their support, I know what to expect. It was not a pleasant experience. What ended up happening when I had some bad RAM, and their technical support was like, oh, you got to contact this other department, and then the other department didn't return my email. Then I went back and said, hey, I tried, they didn't return, and days are going by, and the build is being postponed. And then I realized I still was in my return period to Amazon or Newegg, and I just sent it back to the retailer, and then they sent me a new one. Okay. And it was easier than dealing with these folks. But if you have a problem later on, well, that's what comes with the discounted price, I guess. I don't know what to tell you. If you want better customer service, buy name brand RAM like Corsair or G-Skill, somebody who's going to take care of you. Without, let me rephrase, I'm not saying they're not going to take care of you, but they certainly didn't seem to be prioritizing my need. And of course I have customers waiting and they don't know what the delay is. They just go, geez, what's taking Carey so long? So what I would do if this RAM were to ever go bad for one of my clients is I would replace the RAM at my expense. Then I would deal with this on my own time, and this would go back in the replacement that I get sent eventually would go back in inventory again. For dual channel memory to work, you use every other slot. On Gigabyte boards, it doesn't matter if you use the blacks or the grays, but that's why they're two different colors. If you put your RAM side by side, you're in single channel mode. It's still gonna work, it's just not gonna be higher performance. I've heard some people say if I put my RAM in single channel mode, I can turn on XMP, but if I put my RAM in dual channel mode, the machine crashes with XMP. So then, which one's faster? Single channel with XMP or dual channel without? ultimately, it means you bought incompatible RAM, is what it means. I don't know which is actually faster, but I would prefer dual channel because dual channel is a stable industry standard thing, and XMP varies in compatibility and performance. So I would stick with dual channel and not worry about XMP. And it's important you turn the RAM in the right direction so that the little notch matches the notch in the socket. Slide it in very gently. Don't use any brute force on this. It should easily slide in its track and you should see the notch line up. Once you verified you've got it aligned, then you can use some downward pressure. This will require some strength. Then you're going to push down one side until this retention lever goes up and locks in and you'll hear it. And then we'll do the other side. So you're going to hear a click and then a click. Doesn't matter which side. Just pick a side, push down, other side, push down. That positive click lets you know it is seated correctly. Once again, notice that the word T-force is facing this direction. So when I go to put this RAM in, I already know that's backwards. It's not going to fit. Flip it around so it matches the same orientation. Line it up into the other gray socket, skipping a socket. Push down and down. Now I'm going to close the other retention levers. What do you think, Mitch?
Yeah.
Is that a good educational video? Did I cover everything in a very easy to understand manner without too many squirrel moments? No, there were still too many squirrel moments.
My arms are killing me.
What are you trying to say?
Yeah.
Camera one? Camera one, there you go, buddy. Thank you.
How do I, is it this way? Let me see. No, it's this way. Yeah, that's right.
Dude. Watching Mitch figure out how that goes back on the tripod. I should film that.
It's this way, yeah.
Whatever works, man. There's no, yeah, you got it. Well done. Ladies and gentlemen,
yeah.
The cameraman behind the scenes.
How many people?
Steady hands.
How many people we got watching?
Right now?
Yeah.
Oh, 536 people watching. Where are you watching us from, ladies and gentlemen?
Yeah.
Let us know.
Yeah. And while Carey steps off for just a moment, chat, I will tell you, if you didn't tune in last Friday, and you're interested in Uncle Mitch do his acting thing, you can go on YouTube, not now while you're watching us, but later. You type in Dustin, D-U-S-T-I-N, Dustin James Layton is his name. He and the short film is called Adrift. It's about 4 minutes and 30 seconds. We shot it in 2 days, and he's the cameraman. He has a very expensive Cinema Red camera, and he was kind enough to let me act in it. Someone maybe in chat will put a link as well. If you don't go to YouTube, you certainly can go to IMDb, InternetMovieDatabase.com, type in Mitch Morrison, and then scroll down a little bit, and it's videos. And on my videos, I've got the short there as well. A thumbnail is me wearing an old suit. So there you go. I think it looks certainly as good as what they're churning out there in the coast in Hollywood, and I'm proud to know Dustin. And
every time I see, this is not Mitch's first rodeo, and every time I see you do one of these, you're just getting, not only are you getting better, but the people you're working with are getting better in the cinematography, the editing, and the sound on it is incredible. Right. I'm really impressed with the sound.
Right. We'd love to show you, but there's music involved.
There's copyright issues.
And we would hate to get demonetized. And so watch it at your own leisure. And
it's only a couple minutes.
Yeah, only a couple of minutes. And David, while we were working on the board, I did see your chat where he did say he went to YouTube, Toto till, T-I-L-L, till the end. And he saw the clip and he said, man, the band still got it. And I'm like, what can I say? I mean, I can't wait to get that Blu-ray.
How you are not Toto's manager is beyond me. I mean, you promote them and build them up like...
and somebody said...
Why get you some pom-poms?
Somebody said, why didn't you be a roadie on tour with them?
Right.
And I'm like, work's a 4-letter word. I'm retired now, so except for the acting thing, and I'm like, to go on the road, it's a lot of heavy lifting. I'm an old man, so it's just, I look young. So
you're live in front of 500 people around the world, and after this airs, you know as well as I do, it's going to get, average about 8,000 views in the first 2 days, and at a minimum. Okay. You don't consider that work?
Yeah,
no
I guess
pressure.
So. I guess
Under
so.
lights, got to be here at a certain time.
Yeah.
Got to behave in a certain manner. Yeah. You should see Mitch off camera. It's just a sailor's mouth. He's, walking around with
all puffed up. No,
he's walking around in a midriff shirt, drinking a beer, belching and scratching his butt.
Right.
No, he's actually he's the same guy. I'm the one. Yeah, I'm the one. You don't want to see me when the camera's up.
So I just thought I'd give Dustin a plug. I mean, he gets better, like Carey says. He wants to be a director of photography, and he
DOP is the term.
And he just gets better with each clip. There is going to be here in 3 or 4 months. I'm going to do a comedic one where I will have speaking.
Oh, you got another one set up already?
Set up. So,
with Dustin?
Yeah, so that one will be laugh out loud funny. I've written it myself.
If I didn't have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, I'd love to help.
So, yeah, that's getting up at 4 o'clock to get to
4 in the morning. Maybe I just won't go to bed.
To get to his place, then to make it before sunup, because he's big on. You'll see in the short a drone shot at sunrise. That's you can't buy that kind of production
value.
That's not CGI? No. So, yeah.
Okay, let's take a look here at.
And some guy over 40, Mitch, I saw your short Adrift and loved it. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Welsh Lloyd contributes £1. Thank you, Welsh. Paul O'Brien with €5. Thank you, Paul. He says, for the man, the legend that is Carey Holzman, and his wonderful sidekick, Mitch.
Thank you.
This is backwards.
Yeah.
Isn't the tall guy the main guy? Like Batman and Robin? Yeah. Robin was smaller. Rick Hubbard contributes £5. Says, hello, Carey, Mitch, and chat, and a happy Friday to everyone. Hey, welcome in, guys. Thank you so much for the continued support. Just looking in the chat to see where people are watching us from. We got folks watching us from Toronto, Vermont, is it Bellefonte or Bellefonte? Pennsylvania, Maryland, in the UK as well, in Minnesota, Austin, Texas, Madison, Wisconsin, Illinois, New Jersey, Bulgaria. We got a viewer from Bulgaria. Look at that. More in the UK and Indiana. Mitch needs a monopod for the camera.
That's that thing with the stick.
That may not work very well, though.
No, because again, then it rests and you can pivot it. With this, I can get some slicky camera angles and shots.
Yeah, the monopods are good if you're like interviewing somebody.
Right.
But he's got to go. Remember, he's got to aim it top down.
Yeah.
And that, well, it certainly takes the weight off. You got to build those muscles up.
Yeah.
We gotta work on that dexterity and endurance. Catherine joins us from Cartagena de Indias in Colombia. And let's see, we got William joining us from San Diego. David Herzog's in Cincinnati, Ohio. Stephen joins us from Suffolk in the United Kingdom. Robert Peterson joins us from Egan in Minnesota. A name I can't pronounce is joining us from the Middle East. That's awfully generic.
Okay.
That could be a lot of different places. Yeah. But welcome in just the same. East. I can't see that one. Wenatchee, Wisconsin? Not sure. Springfield, Missouri. That's Craig. And then we've got Vancouver in Ireland, upstate New York. More from the UK. Kansas City, Missouri. Not to be confused with Kansas City, Kansas, which is really easy to do. If you look on a map, they're right next to each other. Yeah. Then there's, of course, Melbourne.
I think there's a river between that. There's a little river between.
Yeah, but if somebody says they're from Kansas City.
You always
which
say,
one?
Yeah,
and ultimately, does it matter because they're right next to each other anyway? Hamilton, Ontario. What is that? Hertz, UK. Make your own jokes on that one. Florida. Johnny joins us from West Palm Beach. I think Johnny's got money.
Oh.
There's no poor people in West Palm Beach. Just saying.
Okay.
Homeless people drink bottled water. Sparkling bottled water. Randolph joins us from the UK. Family J is in the great state of Florida. More from Florida. Remember what I said about Florida?
Yeah.
It's like a lot of people watch this channel from Florida. Yeah. I'm not complaining. It's just an interesting observation.
Yeah.
Mortmont joins us from District Heights, Maryland. Matt says, now Mitch has to update the BIOS.
Okay.
And we're going to do that. We got to make sure the board is going to post. Hey, did you see, speaking of Florida, and something incredible happened early this morning. A little after, I think, 5 in the morning, NASA teamed up with SpaceX to send 4 astronauts from 3 countries on a Falcon 9 rocket that had been previously launched into the Dragon capsule that had been previously launched and recovered. And they are currently in space right now. The rocket took off, no problems. Everything went as expected. They should arrive at the space station tomorrow. I think it's about a 24-hour journey. The module that they're in is autonomous. It will automatically dock to the space station. Self-driving.
There you go.
How cool is that?
Yeah.
And this is one of the first times that NASA, instead of us paying the Russians to put our astronauts into space, we are now putting, along with taking other countries that we are part of the same space program, they'll take ours, we'll take theirs. This is unprecedented on many different levels. The main thing is that not only was that Falcon rocket previously used, it landed perfectly on the drone ship at sea to be used again. And the Dragon capsule that the astronauts are in, if everything goes according to plan, will return to Earth when the astronauts come back.
Okay.
And it will be cleaned up.
Used again. See, this is a concept foreign to NASA. Yeah.
The closest they got was the space shuttle. I don't know if you saw the size of a space shuttle. You ever seen one up close? It is not what it looks like on TV. This thing is like a flying building. And furthermore, has been described by pilots as the flying brick because it just falls. Right. All you're doing is a controlled fall. And so when you're landing the space shuttle, you have to get it right the first time. You don't get, like a plane says, I'll just go make another loop around. Right. No, this is a brick and you are controlling the fall and you better nail it. So that's no longer, that's retired. And ever since they retired the space shuttle, we've been paying Russia to send our astronauts and supplies to space. By privatizing the space industry, Elon has figured out a way to do this much, much cheaper, more cost effective. How safe, and I hope I'm not jinxing anything, but that's okay. It's bad luck to be superstitious. But look at how safe these rockets have been. Your biggest fear, obviously, is that when you have human souls on board, that there's not a catastrophe.
Yep.
And they do a lot of testing. He's got that big Starship he's been testing. And what's amazing to me is when you watch him do these attempted landings of rockets and how they blow up, blow up, blow up, blow up. As far as I know, ever since they nailed the process, it's always worked ever since then. Once they collect all the data for all the reasons why things blew up, and they program that and they adjust and modify, it's like perfected. Now, that's not to say a part can't fail or somebody might overlook something, but the consistency of it is incredible. So when you see these rockets blowing up and you're like, this guy doesn't know what he's doing, just keep watching. He's learning. There's valuable data that they're collecting.
Yep.
And when they modify the programming and they modify some of the parts, then those failures can never happen again. Then they get new failures. And then this repeats until there's no more failures and you essentially have a perfect system. And he's got Falcon rockets now that have landed like 38 times. I'm not sure how many landings and recoveries of the Falcon rockets, but I want to say it's in the 30s or 40. Not of the same one.
Right.
But yeah. So if you have time, look it up on YouTube. It went off this morning.
Yeah.
The launch went up. The astronauts are in space. We, of course, wish them safe journeys. It's exciting.
Yeah.
I remember when a rocket launch happened like once every 2 years. Now there's a rocket launch every week.
Right.
Not with people, but with satellites from all nations, many nations. And this one was this one stands out because it was NASA and SpaceX with astronauts. And they're not there yet, but the hard part's over. Anyway, congrats to them.
Now, do you have an open one here to my left, or did you want me to open that one?
Power supply?
I see one sitting.
Yeah,
I don't know.
grab the open one because we'll use the new one in the case.
But
that's the test one.
Okay.
The reason I do that is this could be a bad power. We don't know what's in it, right? I mean, chances are it's
right.
But I know that one works. It's here. Let's just plug it in, and we'll do our test boot and see if everything posts. If it posts, we'll look for what BIOS it has and if there's an update.
24 pin.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you know how to do that?
Yeah, it's just that whole scrunch in this little 4 nub.
It's
there, yeah.
Yeah.
And then this goes to the outside, right? Not the.
Yeah, the clip faces the outside edge of the board.
We've got plenty of. We've
don't
got
worry
plenty
about
of this
it.
footage.
You're not. You need to worry about you until you get your confidence level up on what you're doing.
Those 7 Cokes are all right.
It was just 2, Mitch.
Yeah. Okay.
And they were half-size cans.
Okay.
So technically
don't tell them that. All right.
Just 1. Wiggle it a little as you push. Wiggle left.
Okay. I heard a clicky.
As you let go of it, oddly, it clicked. And if you
check my work. Yeah. Okay.
The cable. Tug the cable.
Oh.
You got to be very literal with me. Now
and then we got
CPU.
CPU. Okay. Oh, that's got a split O too. Yeah.
Did you grab the right one?
CPU?
Because the PCIe one looks like it says CPU on it. You've got the right one. Go ahead and just kind of untangle it a little here. Oh, you're fine. Just go underneath. That's what I'm saying.
And
then you're going to go right there.
Ooh.
Tesla had a car. It's in the news that the news is. Let me tell you the problem here. The news is saying that this car had 2 occupants in it and had no driver, and it crashed and killed both.
Clippy on this side, yeah.
Yeah, the clip always goes, well, at least on Gigabyte boards. Okay. The clips on the power connectors will typically always go toward the edge of the board. So the news, they want to grab that headline, Tesla without any driver crashes, kills the occupants. But here's the thing. That car, to have autonomous driving, that's a $10,000 upgrade. And Tesla says that car did not have that upgrade. So it did not come with autonomous driving, number 1. Number 2, for autonomous driving to work, there has to be white lines on the road so the car knows where the lane is. And in this crash, there were no white lines on the road, so autonomous mode would not have worked even if it existed. And so now, the Wall Street Journal, they're coming to this conclusion that the car was in autonomous mode without a driver, which is simply not possible when the car wasn't given that feature, and nor was the road it on capable, if the car had the feature, to enable that feature. So now the National Highway Safety Traffic Administration is going to do an investigation, and you predict what I'm telling you right now. Remember I said this. They're going to find that the people in that car turned on cruise control and then they went into the back seat like idiots. Okay? That the car never had an autonomous mode because it wasn't ordered with it. You can't hack it.
Right.
And there would have been no way to. So the news is pointing at Tesla like this is a failure, when in fact, it would be no different if you put any car in cruise control mode and then got up out of the seat and moved to the back seat.
Human error.
So, a real bad human error, because what are you thinking? This is bad PR for Tesla, and it's not fair.
Right.
So, my prediction is, what Elon said is true, that car did not have autonomous mode. They know what they sold and who they sold it to. And they know what's required for autonomous mode to work if it had it, which it wouldn't have based on this, where this road was and how it crashed. So I am certain NHTSA, the National Highway Safety Traffic Administration, is going to do their investigation, and they're going to conclude exactly what Elon said. But the news media isn't. They're going to cover it in some buried story. It won't be a headline. Right. And it's the media's manipulation of information before they have all their facts coming to conclusions like the Wall Street Journal is telling Elon Musk what his car has when Elon's the guy who makes the car. Who do you want to believe? The guy who made the car? Right? He knows what he sold and he could prove it. He's got all the receipts. He's got the records. So this will all eventually be cleared up, but that when it's cleared up, it won't be newsworthy anymore. It's not shocking. That's upsetting.
Did you want me to get the HDMI for that? Or do you have to unwheel it? Do you have it spooled up or is it on the floor?
It's on the floor.
It's on the floor.
Yeah, we need the power cable.
Oh.
I'm just saying,
Yep.
remember what I said. When the news comes out, I will bring it up and I will say, look, there's your evidence of what the media does. Or you're going to have me do it?
No trippy. Okay.
What about power?
Power.
I need to get a longer power cable because that one's just barely. Go ahead and plug that in right there if you would, please. And I need you to grab the keyboard and mouse for me that's behind you if you wouldn't mind.
You got a lemonade in there? I'm quite parched. All right, I got to turn it on.
Yeah, make sure the keyboard's turned on. I'll grab you a zero sugar
Lemonade.
Minute Maid lemonade. You're parched?
Quite parched.
I got a zero sugar orange crush. But you want the lemonade?
I'll do the lemonade.
What's that?
Lemonade, yeah.
You got it.
Thank you. There's a Latka and taxi. Thank you very much. Okay, so we got power. You got the thingamajig and the thing. Oh yeah, you got the doodad in the. Okay, yeah. Very technical. The mouse dongle, yeah.
Yeah, I think we're ready to fire it up. So this is great because with the two cameras we've got, with the wireless cameras, the third, and then this is the fourth, I may end up having to add another 4-port capture card. That's how big the studio's growing. I may end up with 8 inputs because I'm now using all 4.
Yeah. And eventually he's going to get the overhead, which will be great. You won't.
I'm going to put a red light over the door.
You won't see it in the frame, but it'll be great.
Well, ideally.
Ideally.
And then we have our close-up camera there. Oh, you know what we need? We need a power switch.
I thought the last one broke on the last thing.
It broke, and what happened was the switch is fine, but the wire came off of it.
Yeah.
So I had to go back to the house and grab my wire strippers and my soldering iron, and it's really, really tiny. Not my best work. And then I got my hot melt glue gun and I glued it even better.
Okay.
So it's still a little wonky, but it does work. And then when I take apart another old computer, I'll just strip this off of it.
There you go.
The modern computers, they have a circuit board now. This is just a switch. And if I was thinking, which I wasn't, I could have just moved the reset switch position and just started using that as a power. It doesn't have to be. They're both the same switch. Just the location of the wires changes. But I just do this for quick testing, and it adds the speaker on there so I can hear it beep. Uh-oh. Got it backwards. Okay, guys. Here we go. Here we go.
Got to move us in the corner and.
Yeetus Maximus says Google moderation team is deleting links in the chat room. Well, let's just take a look. Let me scroll through and see what's going on here. Give me just a second, guys. I'm going to ask if you are blue, then that means I trust you, and I trust you to not be removing people's comments unless they are vulgar or spammy. Posting links is not spammy if the links are on topic with what we're talking about and they're not self-promotional. And you will lose your blue status if you abuse it, and that sounds like abuse to me. Let me just verify this real quick. We can take care of this right now to put an end to it. when you lose blue status, you don't necessarily lose it forever, but if it seems like you're having a power trip, we don't need people in blue to do that. You're supposed to represent the good side. And if you wouldn't want it done to you, you shouldn't be doing that to other people. And unfortunately, sometimes I turn some people blue, where, you know, I'm somebody who gives everybody the benefit of the doubt. And I might be a little too quick sometimes to give somebody that level of trust. And when they abuse my trust, they are betraying me. And it really hurts me to have to remove a blue status from somebody. And it means you're not banned or anything. It just means you're just not responsible with the power you've been given. And so it will be revoked until you can prove at such point that you can responsibly handle that power. It's unfortunate that people have to do that. So we'll take a quick look here. I'm just trying to find examples of it. Stan says it's not the mods, Carey. So it's not a mod who's changed their name to Google Moderation Team. Message deleted by the Google Moderator Team. That's new. When did that start happening? Let's take a look.
Reese's Pieces break.
Oh, go enjoy your Reese's Pieces. I'm going to take a look at what this Google Moderator Team is.
That's new?
Well, I mean, I'm seeing a post all the way back from 2012. That's interesting. All right. Well, I'll look into that after the show because you're right in the middle of something here. But if it's not I thought somebody changed their name to Google Moderator Team.
Right.
And if that's the case, I was going to remove. So what I would like for you to do is whatever you're posting that's being deleted by the Google Moderator Team, please send me a private message, send me an email with the exact, listen to what I'm saying, the exact wording. Don't misspell it, don't rephrase it, of anything that is resulting in that response so that I can track down what's going on. Because you might be posting something you shouldn't be. And I would like to see what that is so I can understand what's happening. But you can't paraphrase it. You've got to put it in verbatim, word for word, spelling exactly the same, so that I can see the action and reaction and not estimate it. If you estimate it, if you're like, well, I just posted a link, I need to see don't tell me what you did. Show me precisely what you did. And then that resulted in that, so I can replicate it. And then I can look to finding a solution. Okay. So, all right, you ready to test fire this?
Yeah, put us in the corner, I guess, and we'll go to the HDMI.
Blackwatch contributes $5 Canadian. He says, I'm an hour late. A big squirrel wanted to talk about drag racing in the 90s. True story. My bad. Randolph Steve Slavin contributes £5. Thank you, Randolph. Ghost Shadow contributes $5. Says Google/YouTube have set up bot that is deleting posts and links. Yeah, like I said, I'd be interested to see what it is that's triggering that. And Ricky B with $5 contribution says SpaceX has had 115 completed missions without a mishap.
Ooh,
that's a hell of a run, isn't it? Okay, so let's
fire it up.
Oh yeah, you wanted me to put us in the corner. Okay, let's put us in the corner. We'll go. How's that? We'll turn on camera input 2.
Okay.
That says no signal because the machine is off.
Okay.
we need to flip the switch to on the power supply. There you go. And then the power button right there, you might have to push it kind of hard. If you push it, nothing happens. It's my bad soldering job.
Here we go.
Hey, you're good. So this first boot up may take up to 90 seconds. Don't freak out if it doesn't start immediately. Yep. It's going to train the memory, identify what CPU is installed, and then it'll eventually do the power on self-test, P-O-S-T, what we call the post. And if everything's done correctly, you see the machine just shut itself off. And now, as the fan stops, it turns back on again, as it has trained the memory, programmed it into the CMOS or the BIOS, and now it will attempt to boot. But because there's nothing to boot to, it will probably just take us into the BIOS or say there's no bootable device found. That's what we want to see.
And you think we will have to update the BIOS?
Notice it just turned off again.
Okay.
This is normal.
Yeah, don't panic. Yeah.
This is all normal.
Turn back on again. Yep.
More than likely we'll have a BIOS update, but we won't know until we check it. There we go. So it took us into the BIOS, and you'll notice that it shut off 2 or 3 times. That's normal on the first boot up. Different motherboard manufacturers, along with different hardware, may result in it only booting once or 3 times. I've seen it boot up to 5 times before it got everything trained properly. Be patient on your first boot. If 90 seconds goes by and nothing happens, there's a problem. Okay, so now that we're, oh, right. Whoa. Whoo. Yeah, I don't need to see that. I just made Mitch and I full screen
on this big TV.
I can see him full screen in person, and that's enough. All right, so here's the BIOS. That's what I wanted to see. By the way, you guys aren't saying anything different. Mitch and I have the BIOS in a screen about that big, so I just made it full size so I can see it. Okay. And if we just move to the right, here we go. It says we're on BIOS F3, which look how old that is, 8/13 of 2019. Whew. So what I need to do is I need to go on the streaming computer here. I need to go to Google and type in B365 HD3. Remember, there's a B365M. So B365 HD3. Then the first link Google provides is going to go to Gigabyte's website. And at Gigabyte's website, I'm going to click the support button. And I'm going to scroll to BIOS.
Is it number 5? We'll see here.
There's only 3 BIOSes for this board. It goes to F4D. And it says it improves the DDR compatibility, work around beta BIOS to improve Kingston stability concern on some specific chips, and it adds NTFS format for QFlash. I'm going to go ahead and take it, even though it says it is a beta. I'm not worried about that. I'm not quite sure when they would take it out of beta, but I'm going to, even though we're not having any problems, I don't want to have any problems. And so I'm going to go ahead and accept this BIOS by downloading it and then extracting its contents here onto the streamer. Once those contents have been extracted, I just want the BIOS file itself, and I'm going to copy it onto my BIOS flash drive. It's a small 2 gig flash drive with a FAT format. It's not NTFS. That's one of the things the BIOS is addressing, because people can't buy 2 gig flash drives anymore. At least not new ones. Let me plug that in. And then I will, the extracted file has 4 files in it. It's got an auto exec file, an EFF flash, or EF flash, that's the DOS executable, which we're not going to use. And then there's a readme.txt file. So I'm just going to copy the BIOS file, which is the 4th file. That is the largest. If you don't know which one it is, just look at the file size. It's the big one.
Okay.
And we're just going to copy that onto the flash drive. That's the only file I need when I'm utilizing QFlash.
Okay.
And it's only like 16 megs. It copies pretty quick. You don't have to do the safely eject stuff with Windows 10. As long as the flash drive blinking light isn't blinking, safe to remove it. We'll then install it onto any USB port on the back of our new build and just give it a second. And then let's make this big screen so we can see it again. Okay, now we can see it. So we're Gonna go to, you want to do this, Mitch?
Yeah.
See the down at the very bottom of the screen, there's like an arrow pointing down.
Yeah, here? No.
Move the mouse down.
Oh, gotcha.
Go to Q Flash. One click. Click on Update BIOS, one click. Go to this is the only thing that's formatted. Give that 2 clicks. Quick clips. Say that 10 times fast. That's it. Now just walk away. Now we're just going to leave it alone.
Nothing up my sleeve.
Don't touch it. Leave it alone. Don't move the mouse. Don't touch the keyboard. This is going to take about a minute or two. I'd say about 2 minutes. It's going to automatically reboot. It still may be, some motherboards, after they reboot, are not done flashing. You'll know when it's done when it returns you back into the BIOS or it says no bootable device is found. If you get either of those results, then you can power the machine off, remove the flash drive, and you can erase the files on the flash drive. You don't need them anymore. The BIOS is then updated. Now this BIOS is not critical for us. We're not having any RAM compatibility problems. However, I feel better having it, even though Gigabyte is saying it's beta. I don't know what Gigabyte's priority is in their workload to readdress this as a final BIOS product. So it's really a judgment call, and it's about what I want to support. You understand? Do I want to support a problem that could happen because they don't have the latest BIOS, or do I want to support a problem because the latest BIOS is beta? That's my call to make as the seller, and it's your call to make if it's your own personal system. There's no right or wrong. It exists. That BIOS exists for a reason. So I prefer to have it.
So it just shut off, turned itself back on.
Yeah, and you'll see it says no signal as it's restarting. And it's still, you'll see it's going to take a little bit longer before you get back to the BIOS, the post screen, as it's still working. And it's important that you don't interrupt it. And you'll see it's
turned itself off.
Turned itself off again. And then
back on.
Yeah. And it may do this 2, 3, 4 times. That's normal. Leave it alone.
Turned itself off again.
I can't stress that enough.
On. That's number 3. Well, and I think that'll be.
Now, I think it's going to take us back in the BIOS, but let's see what it does here. We're still hands off. No touchy. Don't touch it. See? It wasn't done, was it?
No.
See?
Turned itself off again.
Yeah.
Back
Still
on.
working. This is all part of the process. But different motherboard manufacturers don't do it the same, and that's why it's important you don't make any assumptions and that you're a patient. If you're not patient and you do make assumptions, don't do this. Let somebody else do it for you. Why? What is it? Why is it running? It looks like memtest. That's weird. That is memtest. How did I get memtest on my BIOS flash drive?
I thought there was nothing on it.
I don't know how that. You know what might have happened? I might have been working with.
Okay. Well, you can escape this or cancel.
Yeah. Well, we can see our RAM is installed. I mean, we can test it. It's all
there. It shows our.
That's really the strangest thing I've ever seen. That was an empty flash. There might have been a partition on it. I'm not aware of. I will definitely, off camera, I'm going to make sure I clear that drive. That's one of the strangest things. Obviously, the BIOS flash is done. So we can reach over.
Oh, so you think there was something on the storage? There might have been something on the NVMe that we installed. Something on that?
Well, that's true because that NVMe drive was already open.
So
that's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to reach over. I'm going to turn this off.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
See? Yeah. There we go. And then I'll pull the flash drive here. Now I'm very confused. But yes, you're right. It could be on the NVMe drive.
On the storage, yeah.
And then we're going to go ahead and put the Windows flash drive in.
Okay.
This is Windows 10, 20H2. We should be at, 21H2, I think, here in a matter of weeks. See how I'm pushing the button, nothing's happening? That's my soldering.
And then is that update, that Windows update, I get confused, is that the big one or is the fall the big one? Yeah.
This is supposed to be the big one, but we'll see.
Okay.
One of the things I'm starting to do now, since the whole NVMe speed issue, is after I load the new BIOS, I want to load the optimized defaults before I go any further.
Okay.
And then save and exit. Shouldn't be any harm in doing that. I've been lazy and a little overconfident, and I haven't been doing it.
Okay.
And so I should be, and I've learned my lesson.
And now it's booting to the only thing that it sees. Yeah. And
I got to grab the right mouse here.
You've seen this done a million times, so smoke them if you got them.
It'll be interesting if there's partitions on that NVMe.
Oh,
drive.
yeah.
We'll see.
Well, that'll tell you? Okay, I don't have a product key.
Yeah, it'll tell us.
Pro.
We do this, we do the license agreement, then we choose custom, and then we'll see if there's partitions. Yeah, there are.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what I did there, but that may be
mem test.
That could be.
Yeah, it's all good. Like you said, get rid of it. Dink.
See, what I should be doing if my OCD was stronger is I should have done this. Like if I turn the computer off right now, that's the way the drive stays. What I've done is permanent. It's immediately when I hit delete, that took effect instantly.
Right.
So if I shut the machine off and then I put that NVMe drive back in the package, then it'll be just like new again. Mm-hmm. Apparently I missed a step. I've been busy, and
don't beat yourself up.
Well, it's Friday. The thing is I get busy, and when I get busy, sometimes the attention to detail, because of the stress, and I'm trying to push myself to get as much done as quickly as I can. I'm like, I'll get to that later, and then I completely forget, and I see this drive laying out. I go, why is this laying out? This needs to be put away, and I put it away. So then I get to use it, and the first thing I notice is, why is the tape cut on this box? I have no memory of doing that. But clearly, I use this in something.
Yeah, it's something.
And I have no idea what I used it on. Welcome to my life. In the meantime, we'll let that install. My thanks to Michael Martin, contributes £5. He says, hello, Carey and Mitch. Just a small donation for Coke or Gatorade. Thank you, Michael. Stan Aristoff contributes £1.99. Says, hello, Carey and Mitch. Hi, Stan. Why am I loading the optimized defaults? You need only look back at the video where I, what did I do in that video? I changed I updated the BIOS, and then the solid state drive was only reading at 1/3 of its speed. I couldn't figure out why, and then I loaded the optimized defaults, and then the SSD speed returned to where it should be.
I remember that one, yeah.
So sometimes when you load optimized defaults, it doesn't carry over the right settings. And even the manufacturers usually tell you in the BIOS instructions to always load optimized. They used to. And there's certainly no harm in doing it, because that's the way it should be out of the box when you're first building a brand new system. If you leave the BIOS to optimize defaults, then these are universal performance settings that work automatically for everybody. The minute you start getting into a BIOS and you start dealing with the minutiae in there is for more technical people, and my videos are not for you. In other words, they're not intended for technical people. Most technical videos on YouTube are for technical people. There's very few technical videos on YouTube for everyday average users. And so the safe thing is to just load optimized defaults. Leave all those settings alone. And if you've never been in there and you update the BIOS, it's possible the BIOS update has manipulated some of those settings. And unless you look at each one manually, you'll never know. So it's just faster, more efficient. Just load the optimized defaults as soon as you update your BIOS and restart. And that way you can rest assured that everything is optimized properly, and that any further optimization would require some experimentation, some trial and error, and some technical skill that very few people have. And the minute you update the BIOS again, you're going to lose all those settings. So I hope you wrote them down somewhere. It's a huge pain in the butt to support anybody who does that. They are a nightmare customer. The good news is most of those people service themselves, but when one of those people calls me and tells me how they just screwed themselves over by doing something they should have never done, and now they want me to dig them out of it, I don't want to help those people because they have a control issue where they think things that come from the factory aren't good enough unless they, never mind the level of education and the number of well-educated engineers and managers that are working on providing this to the consumers. There are certain people out there who think they're smarter than those people, even though they've never held a job in those positions. I don't want those customers. So
and there we are, to Windows. Yep.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah, those customers will keep calling you with self-inflicted problems. And it's like, just leave it alone. Leave it be. And if you worked in an IT department or for a corporation and you were doing that, you would be, I'm sure, reprimanded. And if you continued to do it, you would be let go of the company. And I can tell you that because I've seen coworkers.
Do you have his first name?
Yeah, this is going to go to Joe.
Okay.
This is Joe's machine.
Everything off but location. Remember that.
So my attitude is that if you want to mess around in there and experiment, then the consequences are yours to resolve.
Yeah, it's on you.
If you don't want to resolve those on your own and you're going to need help, stay out. That's part of the package that you signed up for if you do that. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how, if memtest 86 loaded off of that, if it loaded off of this, but I'm going to wipe this thing clean.
Yeah. You're pretty good at wiping out any BIOS on the USB drive, making it fresh.
Yeah, but you see how the memtest drive is the same drive?
Oh,
I might have accidentally, if I didn't read the label, if I just grabbed it, I might have updated the wrong one.
Okay.
Because I had recently needed to test memory, and the memtest wasn't loading. So I went to the memtest website, saw there was a newer version, and it's all free, and I've got a video showing you how to do it. And I updated the flash drive, but maybe I put it on the BIOS drive.
Okay.
What can I tell you? Sometimes I just work too quick.
Too fast, all right.
Too fast for my own good. And while that's loading, we're done with this Windows 10 flash drive. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that now and set it aside. After the first reboot, it doesn't use the flash drive anymore,
okay.
Just so you know. And we're still in that upper corner. I know you can't see it, but we're still there.
Okay.
And now we can do the Windows updates. So I'm going to just kind of rotate this a little and grab the Ethernet cable. It's a pretty straightforward build. I'll have to activate Windows, put a code on it for my client. And then this will go into a Corsair 200R with a 500 watt power supply and a DVD drive. This customer does, in fact, want a DVD drive. They're like 20 bucks. It's no big deal. It's a little extra cable management.
Yeah.
But that's my problem. If I don't like it, I probably shouldn't be in this career. That's what I keep telling myself.
Every one of my builds, it's a must. Not straight DVD. I want a Blu-ray/DVD. Burner and driver.
Well, those are more money. Those are like 80 bucks.
Yeah.
Depending. I think you can get them a little cheaper now, but nobody wants those anymore, Mitch.
I do.
Well, then
you're
not nobody.
So tough cheese.
Hey, I like tough cheese. That's my favorite kind of cheese.
Okay.
The tougher, the better. And I typically remove this icon down here. I just unpin it.
Right.
And I also like to unpin all the items here. And the reason I do that, most of my customers complain about this.
Right. Too distracting.
Now, they can always put it back if they want to. This is just a preference.
I kind of like the weather, though. I mean,
I don't know why people are saying, you're in the desert. It's hot and sunny. Do you honestly, do you have any windows in your house that you can't look out of?
Oh, no. They're all boarded up.
Yeah. You forgot, Mitch lives in that window, this building.
My fans, my fans.
Most of my customers like that. So the start menu looks like a start menu. But they can add that. It's super easy. But I hate when they set up their email incorrectly, and I hate when they
Right.
They don't know what this Microsoft Store is. Then they call me for tech support. And then this is another headache, this little indicator down here.
Right. Oh, you got to put Carey's optimizer on it
well,
too.
That'll come later.
Later, yeah.
We'll clear all these notifications. But yeah, I'll take off the Microsoft Groove and Movies player and replace it with VLC, which is on the same flash drive as the Uncle Carey's Windows 10 optimizer.
No, he's going to like this build, yeah.
Oh, I know. This is a very common
build. It's going to be quick.
This is the most common configuration I build. You guys don't get to see all my builds on camera.
Yeah, going to be quick and fast.
How many of these I've built. And because I couldn't get the H370, the B365 was close enough. It's like $100, $110 board. So it's a really nice pairing, and it's going to be very quiet, very reliable, and he's got lots of room to grow. He's got more than twice the memory he needs and more than 3 times the amount of hard drive space he needs. Right. So he should be able to grow into this over the years. And
now, how are those Samsung 2 terabyte NVMe Evos going for? Any idea?
The price went down a little bit. They were at $319.
Okay.
And now they're at $310.
And then what about the 1 terabyte ones?
I never buy the 1 terabyte. If I'm going to buy 1 terabyte, I don't buy the Samsung Evo, because if I'm going budget, then I go to the Intel side, which runs at about half the speed.
Okay.
So if you want 2 terabytes of the Samsung 970 Evo, I'm sorry, 1 terabyte of a Samsung 970 Evo, I never monitor the price. Okay. But while we're waiting, I can go to Amazon. Today's the 23rd of April, 2021. We're looking at Amazon in the United States. We can type in Samsung Evo Plus, and 310.77 is the 2 terabyte. The 1 terabyte is $164.99. 500 gigs is $80, and they even still sell the 250 gig, which seems pointless, for $60.
Yeah.
So if you do the math on that, you'd need 4 250 gig drives to equal 1 terabyte. So that would cost you it would cost you $240 for 1 terabyte. Or you can buy the 1 terabyte drive for $164. But 2 1 terabyte drives would cost you $330 versus the single 2 terabyte drive.
It just seems like quite a jump from the 1 terabyte to the 2. That's quite a jump, 165 to 310.
It isn't. You're twice the space, but it's not twice the price. It's less than twice the price. That's the way it should be. But this 2 terabyte drive was on sale for a while for $249.99. The same exact drive. And my viewers bought about 175 or 80 of those.
Yeah, when they hit that price seems to me, to snap something like that.
But remember, these prices might start going back up if this whole cryptocurrency thing. There's an if there, but there's a potential that before didn't exist.
How are we doing here?
It says pending restart. We'll restart it. This is also grabbing drivers for the video. I also want to put on that Intel driver assistant, so we'll get all the Intel drivers. So there's quite a bit of little work that needs to be done with regards to prepping it. When I give this system to the customer, I want Windows activated, fully updated, all the latest drivers officially from the manufacturers of the product, not from a third party. And then I, remove all the noise from the start menu so that it's familiar to them, and they can just literally plug it in and start using it. This customer also wants Microsoft Office. So I will make sure that I get them a copy of Office 2019 activated, so they won't end up calling me with a support question, because who knows where they're going to buy it from and what that's going to lead to. And we'll reboot and revisit Windows Update. Sometimes there's updates to prior updates. So we may have to repeat this a couple of times until we get everything. That's just normal. When the new version of Windows is released, then you have very few updates. But as we're getting close to a new version of Windows being released, we probably have a ton of updates we have to grab. Not to mention all the drivers. I mean, look at how much more it just is grabbing right now. And then that's not even including the Intel driver updater or the, I was going to say the Intel SSD toolbox, but we won't need that unless there's a firmware update. And in the free Intel, official Intel driver update assistant will automatically take care of that for us.
Okay.
So we're doing good. Does anybody have any questions in the chat room for us? We'll be happy to address that.
And while we're waiting, you can remember, you can always do a contribution by a I can't even speak, contribution via Super Chat or PayPal. Uncle Carey has PayPal, or Amazon gift cards are always welcome and appreciated, as the British say.
Sometimes we get questions in the chat room that are like somebody's trying to stir a pot to start an argument over something that has no effect on them. So I'll give you an example. Photo Mix Media in the chat says, is it unethical to personalize and customize Windows 10 without asking the client and without disclosure on the live stream? Now, see, for me, this is like somebody setting you up to argue. If you're not my customer, then it's none of your business. And rather than be accusational, you could say, did you disclose this to the customer, rather than assuming I did not. And furthermore, it's my business, and how I choose to operate my business, you will suffer no consequences, nor will you get any rewards. You can run your business. How would you like it if you started a business and someone told you how to run it?
I wouldn't like it.
No, and that's between you and your customer. Now, if your paying customer doesn't like something, that's a different story. My customers come back to me time and time again. As I mentioned, this customer already has a machine of mine. And prior to that, they had a different machine of mine. There's a reason why they come back. Now, most clients that come to me, they don't know or have a point of reference of what's being changed, for the most part. And if they do, they generally will be very specific about the requests on what they want me to do, right? But most of the time, they look like, I know you build a good computer, it's reliable, and I know you're going to set it up for us, and we trust you. There is something called trust. And if you're a non-trusting person, I wouldn't want you as a customer. And a lot of people seem to think that they're doing me a favor by giving me their business. And that's somewhat true if they're an easy customer to work with. But if they're going to be accusational or in any way imply that there's an issue of trust, then don't do us both a favor and take your business somewhere else. Or if you're just a non-trusting person, do it yourself. Because it's not worth the drama. And what's really interesting to me is how it's none of their business if they're talking on behalf of my customer and they don't know my relationship with that customer. It's awfully presumptuous to think anybody thinks like you do. So it's sort of, it's sort of this triggering, let me see if I can create an argument.
Yeah. Stir in the pot.
Why would you do that?
Yeah.
Why not just be supportive? Yeah. Why not just say, hey, it's a nice build? It's none of your business beyond that. So anyway, it's a little frustrating to me sometimes.
Look at stealth mode. Shout out to Planet Cryos for his video edits.
Yeah, he's doing a great job.
Yeah. Thank you, stealth mode.
I was wondering, you heard the monitor.
Yeah,
right?
I don't know. Is that on your end on the TV? Do you
It's coming from the streamer.
Do you have the volume up? I mean, our connection hasn't been fluey. It's green.
The connection's good. Good. Yeah, I don't.
You're not dropping frames that I can.
Let me make that full screen again. So
those gremlins are.
We're still downloading. Yeah. Even though it says I can restart, I feel better.
Yeah.
Not only will this finish downloading, but then it should install. So I'll just be a little more patient, let that complete. But yeah, I don't know why people do that. I don't know why they just can't be.
Yep.
So when I was growing up, we used to have this thing, and it was called. If I can remember what it was called, it's been such a long time. It was called the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
Do you remember that? Do you remember when people used to give a complete stranger
the benefit of it?
The benefit of the doubt. That's gone now. Now it's, you're the devil, you're doing something wrong, and I just don't know what it is yet. So I'm going to use my imagination, and instead of asking you any information to clarify what I think are facts, I'm going to conclude in my imagination what those facts might be and how upset it is for me. And then I'm going to ask you, wouldn't that be unethical? Like, well, who's doing that? Why are you asking me that question? Whether or not it's unethical is between the customer and the business of any business, not just of mine. And if you're not the customer and if you're not the business, it's none of your business. So mind your own business It's like an impossible thing today. So when you're here and you're making a video trying to teach people, they got to find something evil in it.
It makes a great back scratcher. Okay.
Thanks for providing the free content. Let's see if I can find some evil in it.
Right.
You're welcome. It's really offensive. I'm sorry, that's just really offensive. All right, anyway.
We're just waiting on the updates.
I'm looking in the chat.
Yeah, looking in the chat. Thanks for everyone for tuning in on this Friday. What is it, the 22nd? 23rd?
23rd.
23rd. Yeah.
You're asking me? I don't know what
I don't know. I know Tuesday, the 27th, my father turns 94.
Man. 94?
Man, that's old.
How old are you? Oh my God.
Yeah, he was born in 1927.
Wow. Yeah. Luke Greenia says he said the usual $20 contribution via PayPal. Thank you, Luke.
Yeah.
Richard S. says, the trolls want to embarrass you, Carey. I would ignore them. I think it's important to talk about it. If we ignore them when we don't acknowledge what the psychology is, because they may not even be aware of what they're doing. And I think it's important that if there's any attempt to correct it, then I can at least make a modest effort to make that attempt. And if the person isn't going to get it, well, then we just ban them, right? But I still give people the benefit of the doubt, right? I still believe that that's not what their intent was and they failed to communicate it well. But those kind of things don't need to be questioned because nobody has the right answer to ethics and morals. You cannot legislate that. Ethics and morals are to each individual. And for me to be in business for 30 years, I must be doing something right. If I'm upsetting customers, it would be impossible to be in business more than a year.
Yep.
So I do make an attempt to acknowledge it because I think they're not aware of what they're doing. And if after I make them aware they continue to do it, then I ban them. Again, that's an example of benefit of the doubt. It would be nice if it was returned, but I can't. That's all I can do. I put myself out here and I go through all this expense and trouble to do this for free. And some people contribute, most people don't. And then there's some people that just want to poke, get a reaction. Well, there you go.
Yeah. Well, I'll go up in June, maybe about June 1st. I'll go on up and see my dad.
Colorado?
And stay with my brother there in Vail for a couple of weeks, get out of this miserable Phoenix heat that it will be in June. And I will not drive a motorcycle. I'll drive my car, and
that'd be kind of a nice drive in the motorcycle, though, wouldn't it?
It would. It's from here it'd be 8 hours to Moab,
it's
Utah.
Basically
very
Vail,
beautiful,
right?
Very beautiful. Yeah,
it's a beautiful drive all the way to Vail.
Yeah,
it's after you continue going west that it just kind of flattens out and becomes ugly.
Yeah,
and the drivers get real dangerous.
From Grand Junction on in, is that I-70? Yeah, that's I-70. It's all freeway, and I would just get in the right lane. But that's just a lot of driving on the bike. So I'll take the car, and my brother, I'm obsessed with detailing my cars, and he treats his like a slob. So it's a running joke.
My brother's like
where I bring all my detailing. I'm talking steam extractors, steam cleaners,
what do you
brush,
charge?
my brushes for my brother, nothing.
No, for some.
He treats me good. He's got.
Oh, he treats. Never mind that.
He's got pets with the dog hair. I've got the brushes that get the dog hair
treat you good.
off.
The prices too.
So,
that's all I'm saying.
So
not worth it.
So twice a year I do it, maybe June, and then if I go there at Christmas, I'll detail. I like doing the inside more than the outside. So, and I learned by watching a ton of YouTube videos how to detail and what detailed brushes and cleaners and everything and extractors to buy, and yeah.
Thomas Backenstow said he's 59.
Just a youngster.
Stealth Boat says, happy birthday, Mr. Morrison.
Oh, yeah. good old.
Oh, I guess your dad would be Mr. Morrison.
Yeah,
that's not you.
Not me.
You're
No.
not Mr. Morrison. I was
I'm
like,
Mitchie.
who's Mr. Morrison?
I'm Mitchie the kid. So
Mitchie the kid. Is that what I heard? Chris Vandola contributes $3.03. Thank you. Sorry, did I say Chris? Charles Vandola.
303.
And Thomas with another contribution, $20. He says, as usual, great show, gentlemen. Love the conversation. Well, thanks for being a part of it. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah.
We've got, how many people do we have in here now? 489?
Yeah. And again, for all you that saw a drift, I thank you. I'm sure Dustin is going to see a spike in his YouTube.
Again, I will add a link to that below. When we're done here,
Yeah.
I will add a link to that so people don't have to search for it.
Right.
Because it was hard for me to find
Right.
it.
Yeah.
Greg Guy says, I turned 70 last October. Right on.
Hey, as young as you feel.
Well, I'm not going to feel them.
I got an ache here and a pain here. Yeah.
All right, how are we doing? Is this thing ready to reboot yet? I can't see.
Yeah.
Where's my glasses? No, it's still installing.
No, that Windows, that big Windows 10, that cumulative, that takes, right? That's a big one. So.
Yeah, this one.
Yeah, right there. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's all right.
Yeah, and then it usually hangs at 74% for a bit, and then it, So, but thanks for everyone for sticking with us, hanging with us here on this Friday. And what do you feel like eating tonight?
That's a good question. What do you want to do? I mean, if we're going to go do maybe Grimaldi's or something with Marco,
then we should do something else. Yeah.
I know you're always up for wings, but
yeah,
I could cook. You could have sauteed mushrooms, deep fried chicken nuggets, all fresh, tempura batter, and
then I'd get food poisoning, and we couldn't join the guy on Tuesday.
Listen, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. As long as you like everything bland, I'm your guy.
Yeah, got any?
And you can season it however.
Got any Pepto-Bismol?
You won't need Pepto-Bismol. You're just going to need some seasonings.
Alka-Seltzer.
I'll make sure that
fizz. All right.
If you want a cheeseburger, the cheese is on the side. The burger is off the bun.
Yeah, but you said you like that hard cheese, tough cheese.
Tough cheese. Well, I'll use whatever cheese you want. I don't care. I'm not eating it. I'm happy.
Gouda. No.
I'm happy to cook stuff I won't eat. I'll make you a lobster tail. I'm not going to eat it.
Yeah.
But I know how to
I haven't
cook
had a hamburger in a long time, or again, sushi.
Oh, McDonald's. We can totally do
Sushi, Big Mac, yeah.
I want,
Wendy's. I do a lot of Wendy's.
Yeah, that's
some of those restaurants still won't let you dine in. See, the Wendy's by my house will allow you to sit in there and eat. I don't want to drive and put it in my car.
I went to the seafood place the other day that I go to.
Yeah.
And it said on the door, masks optional. And a bunch of old people, I was eating at 4:30, so.
Right.
But anyway, a bunch of old people were in there. Not a single one of them was wearing a mask. All these old people, maybe they got their shot. I don't know.
Right.
But the worker behind the counter, mask. Me, mask.
Right.
Now, of course, once you're sitting down, and I thought about it, well, some of those old people were sitting down. Once you're sitting down,
you got to take the mask off.
I haven't figured out how to eat with the mask
on.
Right.
So
I cut a big hole in it. Then I have the mask.
Right. Just get the shot, you fraidy cat. I did it, and I only howled at the.
I didn't have to wait in line for 6 hours.
Yeah, at the football stadium. Yeah.
I don't socialize. I don't go anywhere. I'm not worried about it. But there will come a day when I'm somewhere, maybe Walgreens or
or
they're going to say, hey, you want the shot?
Yeah,
while you're
or
here?
CVS, and you're like, yeah.
I'm not against it.
Right.
But I don't have time.
Right.
I don't have time to sit there and deal with that nonsense.
Yeah.
Let all those people go ahead of me.
Yeah.
I never want to be first, and I never want to be last. I want to be next.
Right. So.
All right.
And again, the only reason I did it is because when international travel opens up, I'm gone. I'm going to go for 2 or 3 months, and I'm sure all the countries would want
Well,
me
I'm waiting
show
to see if you start growing the scales.
Yeah.
So
show
if it
proof
turns
of
out
the
okay,
shot.
I'm going to wait a few months just to see if you grow a third leg or something.
Okay, yeah.
And then I'll see if you're sort of the guinea pig for me.
Okay.
I didn't get a flu shot ever until you said you got one, and you sort of planted that seed in my head. And I thought, well, with the pandemic, if I don't know if I've got the flu or the I better get the flu shot. I'm getting old enough.
Yeah.
And I just happened to be at the doctor's office, and they said, "Would you like a flu shot?" And I said, "What's it cost?" They said, "It's your insurance covers it." And normally I'd say no, thank you, but because of you.
Well, and what was happening in the world, I just said, give me the flu shot.
Well, we talked about the shingles shot too, and I never really thought about it. Now, because of you, I'm doing healthier things. So, if I live longer,
but I will
his
tell
fault.
you, with the shingles shot, that needle, I mean, not the.
I don't want to hear it.
My arm hurt for 4 days.
Yeah, you're a sissy. Did I take your man card already?
And then you have to get 2 shots, not 1. But for shingles, you have to come back in a month or 2 months and get a second shot. And then I'm like, ooh, that just killed my arm.
I'd say, is that all you got? Is that as tough as you are? You got any bigger needles? Bring it on. Whatever happened to that?
Yeah. But all my brothers and sisters had it, and I did not want to get it, so my insurance said no. I said, how much is shingles? She said, no, it's covered. So I said, hit me.
Richard S. says, Mitch is gone like the wind, fully packed 3 months of Toto shirts and a microphone.
And a phone. No, it's a 42-liter backpack, and that's it. Minimal travel. I pack 2 what they call merino wool T-shirts that you literally, the 30 days I was in Thailand, here it is 90 out and 90% humidity. I wore a T-shirt, the same one, every day for 20 days in a row. And all I would do was come home sweaty. They recommend you hang it in a closet. The next day I would put it on. They said no smell, and I didn't believe them. I'm like, whatever. And I'll be darned, but they're not cheap. They're like $80 for
a T-shirt.
Merino wool.
Merino wool.
But it's
I've heard that.
Yeah, but it's soft, and again, antibacteria. And I'm like, and I had other merino shirts as well. But
Christopher G says, I got my shot and now I'm growing feathers. And Mitch and I are in the mood for wings.
Wings, yeah.
Just kidding. We're not in the mood for wings. All right. Temi K with a $5 contribution, Canadian. Thank you. Is it Themi? Temi? I'm not sure. I've never seen that name before. I hope I'm not butchering it too badly. Okay.
He said he was growing feathers?
Christopher G.
Well, pluck you. I said pluck.
Wow. Told you Mitch was like a sailor.
Those 7 Cokes. All right. Retry. Okay.
I'm trying to think of another pun in there.
Right.
I'm stalling, trying to come up with something. And
bird flu. All right.
Well, that's usually what they do.
Yeah. I don't check those because they say if they're working without them, don't do them. But
this is a new build.
Oh,
so
gotcha.
They're not even in there yet.
Oh,
the Intel driver updated.
Yeah.
By the way, we could do that now.
Okay.
Too. We can just go to. These are a couple other changes that I make for my customers, and they're easily undone. But what I'll do is I'll go in here under Settings, and I'll say under Startup, I want to open a specific page, and I change this to google.com, whether my customers like it or not.
Makes sense.
Do you know why? Because no customer ever said don't.
Don't, right.
No one's ever complained.
Right.
And then I changed the default search from Bing to Google.
Yeah. I'm just so used to, on all my builds, my startup is, this shows you how old I am, just AOL.com. Because the page comes up.
Is that still alive?
Yeah, page comes up. I get a little news, little weather, what's going on. So, yeah, that's my startup page.
So I've got the short video that Planet Crash. Oh, look how they move this up here now.
Oh,
that's got to be a new version. Oh, that's Edge. Okay, it's not Chrome.
Yeah,
I'll tell you. Most of my customers don't use Edge anyway, so they don't even notice I've made the change. They're going to probably put Chrome on.
Yeah. But you don't put them on. You let them put it on.
Unless they specifically ask me
to put on Chrome, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to do work that they don't want me to do to take more labor and time for something they didn't even ask for. However, I do want to prevent problems such as I Googled this and it came up with the wrong. Well, that's because you weren't at Google, you were at Bing. Right. So the reason I switch it to Google is if I say, they call me, I need you to go to TeamViewer, and nobody ever knows how to type in a URL. All they do now is they go to the search. And if you're with the wrong search engine, it doesn't give me the same results I'm getting. And I'm like, I don't know what you're looking at. Oh, that's because they use Yahoo or they use Bing or they use something else.
Brave.
Or whatever. Well, Brave's the browser, not the search.
Oh, right. Yeah,
right?
with the line.
So,
yeah.
any event, I don't care what browser they're using, but I'm just trying to get them online for help. And so by setting this in this way, I know that if there's any problems out of the gate, and I have to instruct them blindly over the phone until I get remote access. Now, I will say I do have customers who say, would you put the TeamViewer on there for me now, just in case?
Right.
And if they ask me to, I will. But I would never do that. Now, to me, that would be unethical.
Yeah.
To put a remote access password and code on this computer and then to save that on my side.
Right.
Even though I have the best of intent, that's crossing a line.
Oh, you got 2 software updates?
Well, there's an NVMe driver for the Intel SSD, just like Samsung.
Okay.
This is a very small driver. It's going to download. Did you blink?
Yep, I did.
Then it's going to install. Once again, did you blink? And then it's going to want to restart, and that NVMe driver will replace the current one.
Okay.
So it's like changing a tire on a car. You got to stop the car, take the tire off, put the new tire on, and then you can move the car again. So the NVMe driver has to be stopped.
Okay.
Then it can be replaced, and then on the reboot, the new NVMe driver is in use. Then we have a video driver for the onboard GPU that's on the CPU, and that's the last one. And those come out pretty frequently from Intel. They're about 500 megs. They're pretty big.
But you wouldn't know it unless you have to go there.
Windows Update didn't say.
It never prompts you, right? To say, there's a new driver?
Oh, it will, yes. If you have the Intel driver updater installed, I'm just too quick.
Okay.
But yes, it'll gently pop up and say, hey, there's new drivers or updates available. And it doesn't shove it down your throat. It doesn't set off alerts or warnings. It just very politely says, hey, just let you like to know there's a new driver. And then I would recommend that you finish whatever you're doing. Whenever you're done doing whatever you're doing, just before the end of the day, go ahead and take care of that driver. Because it's official from, some people are worried, well, when something's free, you're the product. This isn't free. This is at no additional cost. Unless you're going to write your own driver, you have to get the driver from the manufacturer. But there are third parties that will charge you for it. Why would you pay for something that's free that comes as a service with the product you purchase? So Intel, the manufacturer of the hardware, provides the drivers for their hardware. And as they update those drivers, you wouldn't know unless you're getting it through Windows Update eventually, or you use the driver installer updater from Intel. And you shouldn't trust anybody else for your drivers. Either Windows Update or the manufacturer. That's it. Any third-party driver utility should not be trusted, and anybody that wants to charge you money for drivers, that to me is, you should be running far away from that. It's not an official source, and they're charging you for something they're not creating. They're just grabbing it from over here, and they're saying, well, we're charging because it's a convenience. You didn't have to go get it over there. That's a line of crap. That's a scummy business practice, in my opinion. Instead of just teaching people how to get the drivers for free, they're exploiting it. So if any sort of driver, any third-party driver program, I strongly suggest you avoid it. This is not Windows XP days anymore. If we went back 20 years, different story. Absolutely unacceptable today. It's your money. Do what you want. You want to trust drivers from a third party? That's on you. But this is not free in the sense that there is a hidden cost here. What there is a hidden benefit that's not installed by Windows by default. You have to go and grab it. And it's a benefit for Intel users. I had somebody say, well, what about drivers for obsolete hardware? Where do I find those updated ones? Well, if it was updated, it wouldn't be obsolete now, would it? Do you not understand what obsolete means? Like, that's a bizarre question. Well, yeah, sometimes you can get older drivers that'll still work, stuff that was designed for Windows 7. Sometimes you can make those work on Windows 10. Well, just because you can doesn't mean you should. There's often reasons why the company abandoned it, which involves security and liability concerns that could result in system stability, performance degradations, as well as potential backdoors and exploits to get yourself infected or lose your identity. So even though you're patting yourself on the back for how smart you are, by forcing something that's not supposed to work, you're only hurting yourself. It's no business would do that. Absolutely would not do that, because the liabilities could result in a huge lawsuit.
Now this is not hung up. This is just thinking, right? Is the thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this, like I said, it can take a minute. Typically, you'll see the screen blank out and come back again. And this likes to loop around. Like after we restart, it's going to like try and restart it, reinstall it. And I'll typically do it a second time just to make sure. And I'll restart it. And when it comes up a third time, I'll hit cancel, say stop doing this.
Right.
If I download the driver manually instead of going through the automated support assistant, it doesn't fall into the loop. And it only seems to happen on the Intel graphics driver, not on any of the other Intel drivers. So I'm not sure what's going on with that, and I'm sure as enough people complain about it, they'll address it. It's this very small inconvenience. But you'll see. We'll witness it here, I'm sure. Winston Liu, hey, there's Winston, contributes $5 Canadian. Thank you, Winston. Did I miss anybody else? Tom Hagen contributes 200 Swedish kroner. Thank you, Tom. Make sure Tom is blue in here. David says, Carey, I installed a brand new MSI Z590 Wi-Fi with a 10850K. Ooh, sounds nice. And after installing Windows didn't see or install the network drivers. I had to load them on a USB and install manual. Very weird. As a commenter pointed out to me recently, that I failed to acknowledge some of the built-in network cards are now 2.5 gigabit network cards. Now, I don't know anybody running a 2.5 gigabit network, but those drivers, because that's such brand new hardware, are not built into Windows yet. Eventually, through the Windows update, when we have 21H2 or whatever the next version is, that may be in there as that starts to become a new standard. But I've never seen a 2.5 gigabit switch, so I don't know enough about it. It's quite possible when I've had issues where the network card wasn't acknowledged. Those are typically on higher end boards, and my appreciation, and thanks to the commenter who pointed this out, because it completely slipped my mind, that is a completely different driver that's not built into Windows yet. The reason why Windows has drivers for the sound, the network, the USB, that's been standard for a long, long time. 2.5 is fairly new, and once again, I don't know anybody who uses it. It still runs at 1 though, but it does require a different driver, and that's, I'm going to guess you have a 2.5 gigabit.
And then what do you like better, purchasing a little Wi-Fi card that you load on the motherboard, or just go ahead and get a USB Wi-Fi dongle? I mean, do they both work the same?
They both work the same. It's really a question if you want to consume a USB port, if you want to open the computer. If it's a new build and I'm going to be in there, I might as well slap the card in there and it leaves more USB ports.
And typically, what do one of those little cards go for?
Anywhere from $10 to $200, depending on what speed it is, who makes it. Is it a name brand manufacturer? If you're buying an ASUS branded one versus something off AliExpress. What speed is it? How many antennas does it have?
Yeah.
What networking standards does it? Wi-Fi 6? These are all number of variables.
I've never installed one on a motherboard. I've always either gotten a motherboard that said Wi-Fi or just used the USB dongle.
See how it came up again?
Yeah.
So we've already done this. I will run it through, but watch how much faster the second time is.
I can't believe I can't believe
done.
They haven't.
See how fast that is?
That they haven't been getting complaints on this. Like you said, it's caught in some sort of a loop.
Yeah. So when it comes up again, watch.
It'll
come up again.
Even faster, or no? You can.
Well, no. I mean, just the prompt. Do you want to continue to install this Intel graphics driver? Will appear, but instead of clicking next, because now I'm certain I've got it.
Right.
I will hit cancel, and it'll say, "Are you sure?" And I'll say yes, and it'll never bother me again. As far as bugs go, that's very, very minor.
Okay.
I could have avoided that by downloading the driver manually, but I would rather just do this because I'm lazy. I mean, I'm efficient. I'm optimized. So see, it hasn't come up yet. Just wait. It's still loading. Just wait. It will appear. There it goes. And then I'll hit cancel. Are you sure? I'm sure. Done. It'll never bother us again. If I restart now.
I take your word for it.
Well, they may not.
Okay. Who's they? Oh,
it's not just you and me?
No.
We're not alone in here?
No.
There's people watching
an
us?
audience.
Do you have my permission to film me?
Yeah. I'm in the Screen
You're violating my Fourth Amendment rights.
I'm in the Screen Actors Guild.
I'm in the Federal Witness Protection Program. Well, I used to be. Yeah. Okay. You'll see it's not going to come up now.
Right.
All right. I've done that a few times before, so it's not like I have a magic ball. Okay. I do, though. Have I shown it to you?
Yeah, the 8-ball.
Is there anything you'd like to know, Mitch? Can I answer any questions for you? Because I have all the answers. I have a piece of technology here from 1974.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is Uncle Carey going to get me anything on my Amazon wish list?
You got a GoPro camera coming.
That's true, yeah.
You sure you want that Saramonic wireless microphone?
I don't know now, so.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I have a spare Saramonic set. They're built well. They're solid, but their quality is just not, for me.
Not studio quality.
But I don't know what you're intending to use it for. Hey, there's $20 from Planet Cryos. Hey. Thank you, Planet Cryos. David A. with $4.99 says, yes, it is 2.5, and I didn't think about that. Thank you. Well, don't thank me. Whoever the commenter was who brought that to my attention, as soon as I read it, I was like, duh.
Yeah, do that again, would you? No. Amazon wish list. Come on, Magic 8 Ball.
Am I going to get Mitch something from the Amazon?
Okay.
Got a small font.
Okay, yeah.
It's high resolution.
Okay. This is old school
8K.
here, yeah.
8K font. Helvetica, I think.
Yeah.
0.2 pitch. Better not tell you now. That's what it says. So,
yeah.
Oh, I see the problem. Made in China. That may
just
be
like the vaccine shot I got.
That was in China
yeah,
too.
It said so right on the side of the shot. I'm like,
well,
I don't know.
Who knows it better? I mean, go right to the source.
Source, yeah.
All right.
Yeah. We're done.
Yeah, we done?
Yeah.
So basically all that's remaining is running the optimizer tool, uninstalling some of the Windows games.
Make sure Windows 10
VLC
Pro is
there.
is activated, yeah.
And I got to put it in a Corsair 200R case with a DVD drive with that 500 watt power supply, which is all pretty basic stuff. So these videos, I tend to do sort of one half, either the motherboard prep or motherboard into the case, and split them into two different, because it is really two different processes.
Yeah.
Now, ordinarily, if you were following along at home, I wouldn't advise you to prep everything out of the box. It's just too dangerous to have all of this equipment open and have voltage flowing through it. And it's not necessary unless you're buying used equipment.
Right.
If it's all brand new stuff, there's no reason to suspect it.
And I will tell you, of the 4 builds that I've done, I have done them all putting the motherboard in the case and been a little nervous, like, what, are I going to have to take it out? And all of them have fired up, and so the next one I would do on the motherboard box, because thanks to you, I don't know what I'm doing. I mean, I do know what I'm doing.
Well, so at least you have somebody you can call for help.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know who it is.
Yeah.
But that's what I've heard.
Yeah.
So, all right.
All right.
Bernard sees, that's something I want to watch, is how you get rid of all the games and bloatware. There's really, I don't know what people think is on Windows. There's really not.
I mean, you've
so
done,
just very quickly, just so I show these folks, so they were curious, I don't know what they're talking about when it comes to games and bloatware. If we go back to the main screen here.
Well, and all that stuff on the side that you got
the start menu.
Yeah, that you got rid of.
Well, I just got rid of the shortcuts. I didn't delete.
Yeah, I don't consider that bloatware.
I go to settings and I go to apps. There's only like 6 things I'm going to remove. If you want to count them, I scroll down here, I see Groove Music, I take it out.
1.
You're gonna keep track? Scroll a little further. The only game is Microsoft Solitaire. I have a lot of customers that like to play Solitaire. I never touch that. That is crossing the line. Okay. All right. So I come down here, and do you know how I know that? Because customers will complain. That's why I don't need people in the chat room to question me. It's my customers. Yeah. So this mixed, I take that out.
2.
Movies and TV, take it out.
3.
This Microsoft Office is a trial trying to sell it to you. So I take it out because it confuses customers. If you install Office with this, you have 2 Offices, which is very confusing. Office doesn't replace itself. You can have 5 different versions of Office installed on the same computer. Skype, if they want that, they can install it.
5.
There's only a couple things left. Xbox, take it out. This Xbox Game Bar, you cannot take out. Xbox Live, I take out.
Bye-bye.
This Your Phone, can't take it out.
Okay.
So the reason you see me skipping past some, can't take it out. Everything else, that's it. That's all there is. I don't know what games people are talking about.
What was that, 6
now,
or 7?
If you're in the Start menu and you see Candy Crush or anything, you're going to notice this is Pro, so it's not going to have that stuff.
Right.
But if yours does, if you find, you don't have to do it that way. If you're in here and you see a game, right-click and choose Uninstall. Did you know that?
Easy peasy.
Yeah,
I knew that. Yep.
And these games, I saw one the other day that was an old installation of Windows 10. They're not doing that on new installs of Windows 10. So if you have an old install, it's time to update that installation media. But there might be 4 or 5 games in here, Candy Crush and Farm Saga or something. And you just right-click, uninstall. And they come out very, very quickly, painlessly, super easy, barely an inconvenience. That's all I do. I'm making very minimal changes because I don't want to cause a problem.
I don't consider that bloatware. Now, the old days,
Candy Crush is bloatware.
Yeah.
And you don't want it on if it's Windows 10 Home, that's one thing, but it's very inappropriate in a professional setting. We don't want employees playing games where they're being paid to do a job. That's universally accepted by most employers would agree. The employees might disagree. But watch how fast this shuts down now. So we've removed all the bloat. Now, something else I'm going to do. Go ahead and we're going to turn this back on. I'm going to show you one final thing I do that nobody does. I mean, nobody, as far as I know. Hold on, we still have a blank screen here.
Let's see.
There's an added step that I do that also helps prevent problems. I don't want any of my customers to uninstall any of the Windows updates for any reason. And by default, it leaves the updates. Yeah, that's quick, right?
That's fast.
But by default, Microsoft leaves the updates available for 30 days to be uninstalled. So what I do is I'll go to Storage Settings right down here. I'll just type in Storage. See how it changed right up here?
Yep.
Storage. Usage, no, I want Storage Settings. Did I misspell it? Storage Settings. There it is. Then I'm going to say turn it on. By the way, the Uncle Carey's, we're going to configure. I want it to every month, I want it to run in the background. And I say clean now. Now that's going to clean up a bunch of temp files and Windows Update files. Not everything. It's going to reduce the amount of space so the customer is getting more hard drive space on this brand new build. Other manufacturers are taking up your hard drive space with crap. I click on the yellow folder, I'm still going to do this the old school way because you'll see how much more crap is still left. Right click on the C drive and go to Properties, and then click Disk Cleanup. But you're still not ready yet. Hit Cleanup System Files. Now, we're using 45.2 gigs just on Windows 10 and nothing else.
Yeah.
That's crazy, right?
Right.
So I want to check every single box. 1, 2. By the way, you could do this at home if you've never done it, if you want to free up some hard drive space. So this is storage settings, still left 1.5 gigs of thumbnails, temp files. It's going to empty your recycle bin, your DirectX cache, and here's the big one, your Windows Update Cleanup. So I check every box and I hit OK. Now, if you have an older machine that's slower, or if you haven't done this ever, this may take a while. I've seen it take 20, 30 minutes to run. But you're going to see we're going to have a lot more free space. Well, we're going to have 1.5 gig more free space that space the customer can actually use knowingly rather than having the space used unknowingly. And most computer repair places and most new systems that you buy will leave all the temp files and all the crap and say, here you go. Even if you don't have the bloatware, you have all this nonsense taking up space for no good reason. And that has never once backfired on me. I've never had a customer say, oh, I wish you didn't do that, or I want to uninstall an update. You remove that option, because when those customers uninstall updates, they generally create more problems, because whatever problem they had, that's not the proper way to solve it in most cases. And I want the customer to contact me so I can address it. I don't want them doing it. Right? And now this is just how they get the machine. They're going to have the machine for years and years and years and years and years. So this is just one time. After this, they do whatever they want. Doesn't affect me.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much it. Those are the configuration changes I make, along with the Uncle Carey's Windows 10 optimization. It turns off drive indexing and sets the power options, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so that's gonna, Kenny Whitten says delete restore points as well. That's a good point. I haven't had customers use System Restore in years. I think people forgot about it. Right. So I don't think about it anymore. Yeah. It's never been an issue. But like I said, this is a new build, and you see how long that took? Yeah. It's still going, and we'll just let it run however long it takes. You can imagine if this hasn't been done, this could sit here 20, 30 minutes, but it's worth it. So I think that's it for today. I think we're done.
Yeah. Good show. Thanks for tuning in. If you hung with us the length, you got way too much time on your hands. I mean...
My thanks, of course, to David and Planet Cryos, Winston Liu, and Denny Kay, and Tom Hagen, and Thomas Backenstow, Charles Vandula, Stealth Mode, Stan Ristoff, Chris Johnson, as well as, another from Stan Ristoff, Michael Martin, Ricky B, Ghost Shadow, Randolph Slavin, Blackwatch, Rick Hubbard, Paul O'Brien, Welsh Lloyd, Planet Cryos, David Seymour, Chris L, Chief Villarreal, Nicholas Iglini, Michael Dane, Todd Wickham, Denny K, Mike Yazzie, Daryl L, Thomas Backenstow again, and XRod666. And there might be some others that happened before that I just don't have right now. But if you enjoy the video and you want to tell me that you'd like to see more content, or you're just in a good mood and you want to make somebody smile, any content creator appreciates that thumbs up being clicked. It's not an obligation, but it's always appreciated. It's a very nice gesture in the harsh world we live in. So if you feel like spreading a little kindness to any content creator, regardless if you think their content is good, that's just a nice gesture.
Give them the thumbs up.
Costs you nothing, and there's no negative consequences to that. As well, if you want to be aware anytime I post new content or anytime I'm going live and you want to be alerted, you've got to subscribe to the channel. To do that, there's a big subscribe button. You click it, and there's a bell icon. When you click the bell icon, that turns notifications on.
And you get them on your phone, right? It comes right on my phone.
You would download the YouTube app on your phone, and then you would turn notifications on, and your phone will alert you like any other type of note. Well, you can control that yourself. Yeah. That's one way for sure. Let's go back to camera one here for a moment so we can say our goodbyes properly. And I didn't like that the bell icon was kind of washed out. So let me do that again. There's the subscribe button, and then there's the bell, and then you'll see the little lines go around the bell. Ding, ding, ding. And you can go to your YouTube settings, and you can tell it how you want to be notified. Okay. It's all in your control. I can't control. If you're not getting notifications, it's on your settings. I can't know what to tell you.
And if you,
but every Friday at 1.
Yep.
Every Friday at 1.
Yep.
You can count on. We're going to be live. Mitch will be here. There may be a few exceptions, but regardless if Mitch is here or not, every Friday at 1 for sure. And then as time permits throughout the weekend and throughout the week, I will be live as time permits. But if for no other reason, if for nothing else, every Friday at 1 p.m. Arizona time.
For weird builds. If we can find weird builds to build.
Do that again?
Weird builds. When are you getting a spaceship? You still don't know yet? I mean,
I haven't received an update.
Oh, okay.
I haven't looked.
I'm looking forward to that.
My stomach just growled. I think it's telling me something.
Yeah.
All right, guys, thank you so much again for joining us. It's been a pleasure having you here. I hope you'll join me as well as Mitch again. On behalf of Mitch Morrison and myself, thank you so much for watching. Thanks to all my friends in blue for keeping it civil. Yeah. And until next time, we will see you very soon. Until then,
bye for now.